We've got ourselves another week of team battles here in Street Fighter League Japan. Vicious here with St. Cola. It is indeed week number 6, day number 1. To start things off, we have 4 teams competing yet again for another intense set of matches, with 3 of the teams actually falling just a little bit short, trying to claw their way into at least a safe position going into the halfway mark. St. Cola going right into it, talking about some of these teams. Who do we have on deck for this week's battles?
So today we have Shinobiism Gaming going up against V6 plus FAV Gaming, and then we have the Saishun Console Kumamoto going up against Compliment Detonation. As we have mentioned, some of these teams trying to crawl their way to the top spots, to stay solid, to stay qualified, because we are playing towards that qualification seat, the finals, to not only see who's the best in Japan of all the land, but also to fight the US and the EU later on in the season as the finale. But I'm getting ahead of myself. We have to talk about the systems a little bit with it. We have the home and away side of things when we talk about the teams, the team squads. The away side pulls up their team first, the home side right after that, and then we have the first to 2s and first to 3s. So the first 2 battles are first to 2s, last battles are first to 3. Your objective is to get as many points as possible and prevent them from getting as many points as possible, as we saw last episode, where it was a 40-point steal from both teams. See what happens here today.
Yeah, the away side managed to scoop up 40 points each, and that's actually mighty impressive considering the home team has the advantage of taking that counter pick position. And of course, you need as many points as possible. As St. Cola had mentioned, 8 million yen on the line. First being distributed to, actually first getting 5 million, second place getting 2 million, third getting 1 million for that split. A pretty impressive split, I might add. And again, when it comes to the first and second matches, those are going to be 10 points each. The third match being 20 points, so it's going to be pretty critical in regards to how that spread goes. And as you can see, Aru and Nanai getting themselves ready for the first day. That's what I'm talking about. Get it into the system, boys. It's going to be a good one. Shinobiism Gaming going up against V6 plus FAV Gaming. We had a little bit of a glimpse of what Nanai had chosen in regards to who would actually match up against Sue, in regards to what his predictions might be. We do know the current order. We do know that the away side has their pretty much rosters set and steady. But for the most part, we do want to hear from you guys as well. We do see a lot of the Twitter support that goes through from the Japan side of things. But if you guys want to hit us up at _St. Cola, at Vicious FGC, to let us know some of your favorite players as well.
Yeah, absolutely. Let us know what's going on, who you like, who you think is going to win, because it's hard to tell out here this season as the new meta has come through, new players too. And now we're going to see the away side come up on the screen, starting off with FAV Gaming, starting off actually with Sako, the surest spear, leading the charge for his team with that Monad play. Ever so impressive. Right after that, it's going to be the Genius Pro Gamer himself, Genius, the top tier Luke out here. That is Tokido coming through on the deck, and then right after it's going to be Judgment. Big Daddy Bonchan coming through, maybe with another surprise too. Always got the character, maybe another character as well. After that, it's Assure Space Sansara himself. With that sim is Tora Meshi. That rounds out a 4-player team that is ridiculous with it. The quality, the pedigree that is out here for this team alone is ridiculous. And this was the winning team of last year, trying to get a second win, but it's going to be hard to get in the end because, once again, these teams are super stacked. What's next, Vicious?
We have Shinobiism Gaming stepping up to the plate from the home side. It is the Prime Shinobi stepping up first as the captain, Momochi, with that prime and prestigious Cody, as well as the master of lethal Fujimura, the Gravemaker, rocking in with Luke as of late. And of course, it's the Shinobi's trump card as well, Yamaguchi, at the vantage point, rocking in with another Luke. And the swankiest of ninjas, the unbearable Maverick, it's Johnny coming in with that G play. Now, this is going to be a very interesting dynamic, right? I think there's going to be a lot to be said in regards to what Shinobiism can or cannot do against V6 plus FAV Gaming. I think in regards to what the order is going to be for the away side, there's going to be a lot of potential counter picks here. But at the same time, there's going to be 2 at least very even matchups potentially, considering that Fujimura and Yamaguchi both have loops. Let's take a look at the away side, right? It's Bonchan, Tsukito, and Torimeshi with the lineup of Sagat. Wow. Sagat, Urian, and Dalsim. Now, Nanai had predicted this possibly happening, at least in regards to like the Tokido and the Torimeshi pick. But I don't think he saw the Sagat Bonchan coming. In fact, he had thought Yamaguchi might be the proper counter pick against Bonchan's Luke, but it might be a different story considering what's on the screen, right?
Yeah, we see Sagat come through, and that's a character we don't typically see just in general, because Sagat is a weird kind of character. He doesn't really play Street Fighter V in the same way. Doesn't really have that robbery factor to force you into situations for plus frames or V-trigger. And that zoning gets deleted by a lot of the anti-zoning that comes with a lot of characters. However, if he does hit you, it's going to hurt. And someone like Bonchan with that great spatial awareness has done work with this character. Obviously, he's had other characters besides that, Karen and now Luke. But to see him come through with the Sagat, I wonder if it's a matter of a lot of the Luke players kind of faltering a little bit because people understand I have to fight Luke, I have to have a game plan. How much of a game plan are you going to have against Sagat, where we haven't typically seen that character come up quite a bit? You know, that's the, oh man, I got to get my notes out and, you know, get prepared. This character that I haven't fought in maybe a whole season, because for the most part, a lot of Sagat players have left that character to the side, or, you know, maybe try to find something else to work with. I wonder if it's a matter of that. Looks like Yamaguchi's going to come up on the deck first to go up against Bonchan. That might be kind of a hard matchup for Yamaguchi just in general, because obviously Bonchan understands Luke.
And it makes sense. I will say where Sagat is currently, I think he does a pretty decent job against any of the zoners. Like, he is a zoner himself. I think he plays the Street Fighter V system just fine in the current atmosphere. I think he may not have like a super big robbery factor, but he can still cancel into V-trigger just fine off of like big confirms. He can get like a big juggle opportunity, or even set himself up maybe like crush counter into like a guard break if need be with trigger 2. But for the most part, I think the fireball game is going to be just as effective against Luke. It may not be like as fast, but I think being able to throw them at the speed that Sagat does is going to be just fine. It's going to be enough for Yamaguchi to reconsider, I would think. So I think Sagat holds his own in the projectile war. I think he holds his own in regards to having a decent V-trigger that could lead to a lot. And there's a lot to be said in regards to doing sweep into V-trigger that could catch people off guard, especially trigger 1. So I'm looking forward to seeing how Bonchan approaches this matchup specifically, because you had a very valid point. He does play Luke as well. He does understand how the dynamic goes in regards to this matchup. I think Sagat is going to be a very fun pick for a lot of the viewers at home, but it's going to be a very challenging pick, more so for Torimeshi.
Yeah, Yamaguchi himself says he doesn't like the matchup too much, but he'll do his best. Bonchan says that he wanted to play last week, so today he will get loud with it. And you know, go back to that zoning play. You mentioned the zoning from both the characters. You know, one of the things that Sagat really kind of is good about is actually having fireball traps. Luke doesn't really have that, recover the fireballs in the way that it's different with the speed. It makes it so you can't really set up shop with the fireballs like you typically would with Ryu or Guile or things like that, or especially with Sagat. So that may come into play. And I think on paper, like, Sagat can fight this character, but he just has to play very, very perfectly, because once the normals come through with the meters and things like that on his back, he has to hold the Oki. He doesn't really have a 3-frame. He's going to have to utilize the EXDP or V-shift and things like that. But again, Bonchan is the top Sagat. He is the one that's taking this character to the top. He has let this character, you know, rock through this season after season, despite the fact that maybe other Sagat players would want bigger buffs to the character. He's been able to rock with this character for a long time, and I'm so surprised and shocked to see the character come through. I'm shocked to see him utilize him, but if he needs to, he can run the mirror match if need be. But this is the first of 2, so he doesn't have a lot of time to shine with the character. Yamaguchi, on the reverse of things, very defensive sort of player. We've seen him kind of get aggressive with these bursts of aggression, so he's not going to be holding these tiger shots for long. He's going to find a way with the jump in, and all it takes is one good jump in to start the Oki when it comes to Luke, because he gets so much off of his normals. Off just a medium punch target combo, that's Oki going float, and you're holding back medium punch and a lot of pressure all day.
What's funny is that I see a lot of Luke, or I see a lot of players kind of stay grounded against Luke, because we were talking about the fireball traps. Sandblaster is just so hard to even try to react to, and you can cut it short with the jab version. I think he's got one of the better fireball traps in the group in regards to those that can throw fireballs. So that's the scariest things. That's why you opt to see a lot of players just stay on the ground, because eating either a rising uppercut or a fireball, you weigh those risks and rewards. I feel like more often than not, you're going to be forced to block. That is the fireball trap, right? I think Luke does it better than most of the cast. And I will say, like, with Bonchan, I'm not like thoroughly surprised. If it was a Karen pick, I would be like, okay, that might not make sense. That's where I would actually be thoroughly surprised. But seeing the Sagat play, I'm like, all right, well, this kind of makes sense. I think he can kind of go toe-to-toe in regards to the ground game as Sagat. I want to see how this plays out, specifically in like how they traverse each other's fireballs, or at least counter each other's fireballs right out the gate. In regards to the normals that both players present, Luke gets a lot of consistent conversions. I think Sagat's normals are slightly further reaching. That standing heavy punch could be quite bothersome against something like maybe like forward fierce, or like a standing medium punch against Luke is a little bit slow too. But I also like Sagat's standing medium kick reaching further out than Luke's, and being able to convert off of that, right? Standing medium kick into V-trigger is going to be a big problem if you're playing against a Sagat. So I'm curious as to see what Yamaguchi specifically is fearing against Sagat in regards to his statement, right? When we talked about what he just said earlier, how he doesn't like the Sagat matchup. Is it an unfamiliarity thing? Is it a being outclassed in range kind of thing? Or is it just the fireballs themselves?
Yeah, really curious. Yamaguchi overall, his record's 3-2 right now. Lost to Dogura the first two, one against Chudo's Urian and Mago's Luke, but then lost to Akira's Kami, but then one against Crusher's Birdie that we see previously. So like his record's pretty good. Like he's doing pretty good. Is this going to be the stopping point right here? Is Bonchan going to come through in the clutch? Will Bonchan even need to switch to the mirror at all? Or is he going to make a fall with the Sagat? Again, this is a big treat to see Sagat. Once again, we don't see this character typically. And even Bonchan, it's been a little bit since we've seen him utilize this character. Let's see if he can take down Yamaguchi.
Really looking forward to this matchup. Already starting things off in an explosive manner. Sagat versus Luke. Bonchan versus Yamaguchi. Again, standing medium kick is going to be the tool primarily for Bonchan. And then from a little bit outside, mid-range, this is where the fireballs are going to fly. And look at that. Bonchan is just forced to sit there. We talked about these fireball traps, right? He's not able to react and jump some of these fireballs. And I love the spacing that both players are playing at. Bonchan, again, medium kick is the tool against Luke right now. He may not be getting some giant combos, and I love it. Not being greedy with the meter, back-to-back V-shifts from both sides, and it's going to be a V-shift war.
Wow, I love that back and forth right there. And also, needing the V-shift, like you don't really need V-trigger to combat this character, I feel like. I love that we see Yamaguchi utilizing the defensive tools to get in. There's that medium kick you were talking about. And these jump-ins probably won't come through that much against some of these fireball in the fireball war because the floating jump of Sagat. Oh, here's the starter right here off the medium. V-shift did get the hit, and you see a punish DP. Maybe could have got a little bit more for that because you had the EX bar at the bottom, but that's still fine.
Speaking of EX bar, Yamaguchi with a critical blow as well. One more touch. I think a single Sandblaster will be more than enough. But Bonchan is loaded up, right? He has one V-trigger 2 stock, which could be very scary if Yamaguchi sits still, because if that guard break happens, he doesn't have that much life to keep himself alive afterwards. Oh, and the walk-up throw, you gutsy man. You are actually super brave for that one. Bonchan not ready for the reactions.
Just getting the first one. Shots at the distance. Using that medium one at that long range. I like how he spaced himself out just to make sure that Bonchan did go for a jump and he'd be ready for the DP. And now gets the conversion off the medium kick. Ends it with a DP in the corner. You go back medium punch plus frames. Look at the space that he plays at. Allowing that heavy kick to be plus enough for Bonchan, or at least not punishable. He can't strike back. And Bonchan caught up against the corner. He needs like a light into EX. Yes, sir. And the knees out of the corner.
I love that pushback from the Tiger Knees too. Once you get a solid confirm, you're able to get out of that corner so effectively. But standing medium punch canceled from Yamaguchi into the trigger is going to be a little bit problematic for Bonchan, right? Yeah, because that trigger does not wind down. In fact, it actually increases if you let it hit successfully, getting him another thermal barrack. He's going to land at least 3 this round. But if he stays alive, Bonchan gets the side switch. Yamaguchi back towards the corner. Still has one more thermal barrack. He can't take another hit though, and he can't block for too long, or else the trigger will go away. Another dash up forward throw.
The challenge on this one, EXDP doesn't get it done. It's still brought the button for Yamaguchi to steal this nice and easy. You gotta be careful with the fireballs that you put out. One good EX can cut through and get the knockdown. Not the win though. 20 seconds on the clock, winding down. Yamaguchi pestering with these fireballs at a distance. Oh, Bonche got to be super careful, but he can still wrap this back. Without bar, it's going to be hard. The knockdown, EX, plus frames. He has to hold the throw.
In one of the fireball traps we talked about, Luke having one of the more effective ones in the game, being able to sandblast or throw out the EX one to stop a lot of the players or a lot of the other characters' fireball so effectively. It's so tough to contest against.
Yeah.
Yamaguchi
just
getting the
backs
first
up that
game
distance
win.
where
What about the distance as well? When backing up to that distance, yeah, again, like being able to like get himself ready for that fireball war is something that Yamaguchi's done pretty well, right?
Yeah, he doesn't give up too much space to it. That's what I really like about him. He'll make you block like a medium or light fireball, but usually just the medium one, right? And then just walk in with that aggression, like harassing and threatening with the idea of a medium punch. That medium kick was coming in the clutch from Bonchan, but until Trigger was on the deck, it wasn't really a worrisome problem. It wasn't really a threat to Yamaguchi. It's like, I'll take a few bits of damage. They'll hit you with the EX fireball. You're going to fall. I'm going to get my knockdown, and I'm going to start going in. And if I have my medium punch, I can find a whip punch or interrupt you consistently. So I think that now we're seeing like the other side of things when it comes to like Luke versus Sagat in the fireball matchup war is just locking him down at that medium fireball range and then dashing in when he's unaware. There's a mental stack just overloading over and over again to get his win. And man, just bad situations where you can't make that comeback. It's so hard again to make that comeback that you typically would see with other characters if you're not in distance for the activations. Sticking with the Sagat.
Yeah, Sagat's going to be the choice of play here. I don't think the Luke mirror match is something that Bonchan would want to play out. But also, to be fair, both rounds have gone down to the wire, right? There's been only 2 instances where Yamaguchi had like walked up and thrown against Bonchan. And then even towards the end, still managing to get very similar results. But Bonchan is not too far away from getting the W against Yamaguchi. So that was pretty much the information round, or the information game. We'll see if it changes up now. Bonchan's been stuck in this corner, but he doesn't mind throwing out some of these medium kicks against Luke.
Gets the X fireball immediately to get outside the corner. I like that usage of the bar just to get some space with his place. And we've seen it being utilized consistently, knockdowns and things like that. But here's the activation off the medium kick, off the backboard, heavy knuckle ender, crosscut DP, recovers in time to stay fine. I love that from Yamaguchi. Watching out, if you're going to leave, you have to pay the damage.
Taking so much extra chip damage as well. Bonchan throwing out a lot of the fireballs more often than not. A very preemptive jump against Bonchan. Yamaguchi making the right calls. That wasn't even a fireball. That wasn't even a reaction. That was just a straight up guess. And it paid off tenfold. That was actually the smartest choice you can have, because Yamaguchi has not shown that card at least once in the first game. That was extremely, extremely rare to see that from Yamaguchi.
Yeah, fantastic jumper to get the win right there. Maybe looking for the activation of that medium kick, and he was ready for it. Look at the bar at the bottom, but here we go. Bar at the bottom utilized for the EX. Knockdown, knees. You're just trying to get the space where it's -2 or 0 as much as possible. We haven't even seen Bonchan be able to stock up with the V-Skill 2. It's going to be difficult because of the EX Fireball to immediately react. And the EX Bar spit for this heavy knuckle and the DP Ender. Caught up in the corner. Crosscut DP again. Same situation, different corner.
Oh, and he thought he could press a button or at least move out of that corner for free? No, sir. That is a very distinct game number 2 for Yamaguchi. That was way further out in regards to like the life bar differential between the two. I think Yamaguchi, again, like I think had a couple of great successful moments in round 2 at least. I think there was just a lot to be said in regards to Bonchan's defense towards the end. I think the mental fortitude stacked up just a little bit against Bonchan, so that mental stack was just not cleared enough to stop Yamaguchi's advances. We got to see the offensive pressure that you were talking about earlier from Yamaguchi. I'm glad to see that kind of shine after a long, arduous war against like fireballs and normals. I love seeing that kind of aggression still being able to shine.
Yeah, especially in that mid-range game right there, harassing the normals. Being able to stay against a character that can sling out the fireballs with the quickness, especially those heavy shots, is really fantastic to see. And you see right here, the anti-airs on the deck, 3 out of 3. That is fantastic from Yamaguchi. We saw him cross-cut continuously. There was one anti-air from the side, Bonchan, not that many jumps from Yamaguchi, but it seemed like the other one just allowed him to get the jump in and get the win. We saw that just dump out a lot of damage. He was very picky, choosy, and when he wanted to jump in, and that's the name of the game when you're fighting Sagat. You don't want to jump in too much, not a lot of damage, and he doesn't really get Oki, but it's a continuous amount of damage that does rack up over time. Someone like Bonchan is going to step that out continuously, so you can't let that be liberal. However, Yamaguchi played that perfectly, and I'm not sure what he was really fearing. Maybe it was a matter of fearing Bonchan himself, maybe Bonchan's play overall with Sagat, but the way that he played that seemed like he was very studied and studious how to deal with Sagat.
Yeah, I'd imagine there's not a lot of Sagat practice that goes around in Japan, or not as much in general, actually. Like, if you think about it from like region to region, how often do we get to see Sagats of this caliber, right? Like Zephrino would be probably one of the primary ones from the States, or even Automatic from the States, if he still plays Sagat, which he rarely does, I feel. Actually, no, he'll still exercise that character in the States. So
yeah, you're right.
Again, the question still stands, right? How often are you going to get that Sagat practice? So I'd understand Yamaguchi having that kind of fear against the matchup. But going into the next one, Tokido's Yurien, Momochi is going to be the one stepping up, and this is exactly what Nanai had predicted. Cody going up against either Luke or Yurien was going to be something that's going to be just fine. One of the primary things that we've seen against this matchup specifically is how Cody can crime sway his way past any sort of projectile. So that's going to be pretty important, at least in regards to the ground game.
Exactly. I mean, being able to do this character that now has weakened defense means you get to just run your pressure even more and more. With that V-Trigger 1 to continue that pressure, that meaty pressure with the knife with the plus frames, going to be even more deadly for this Yurien player to deal with. However, Tokido, if he's picking Yurien, he's got a plan, right? We've seen him utilize Yurien all the way through Evo. You know, being able to utilize a character that a lot of people have dropped to the side because of the lack of defense in terms of having reversal and not having the fastest V-Trigger in the sense of it increasing to 7 frames on activation. I still feel like there's a lot of strength in that character. We've seen it. Like, you still have great normals, you still have good neutral, you still have fast skipping neutral EX moves and things like that, and you have one of the best V-Triggers in the game still. So there's still a lot of good things about Yurien that can be utilized, and we've seen Tokido, you know, build upon this Yurien in this new season, obviously having other characters as well. But this is Momochi. This is a dude that is on 3-1 in terms of the score record. He won against Waichi Mochi Sim, won against Mizuha Cody Mirror. He lost to Fudo's Poison, but then won against Inaba. So he is definitely on an uptrend. He's definitely doing fantastic out here. That Cody, we gotta say, he's probably the best Cody in the world right now with his play. The way that he just breaks down people and their play overall, the way he just stays optimal in every situation, it's immaculate.
Yeah, and there's a lot to really consider when it comes to like the combo routes that Cody wants to utilize and to be as efficient as possible in regards to damage. Like, whether you want like maximum damage or you want to enforce Oki afterwards, there's a lot of things to consider in regards to like how Cody can pick and choose some of his routes. But we'll see how it plays out. It's going to be Cody versus Yurien. We can see Momochi's current record, 3 out of 4, 75% win record overall. The only time he's actually fallen short, I believe, was against Fudo's Poison, if I'm not mistaken. Outside of that, yeah, he had lost 1-3 against Fudo's Poison. Other than that, he's been stellar in all of his matches thus far. I think he's definitely one of those cats to really look forward to seeing how the rest of the season plays out for. But Tokido is also one of those players, I mean, obviously, right, one of the gods of fighting games, to really look forward to. We're taking a look at his stats as well. 2 out of 5, 40%.
Again, stats, look at the players that he's faced. He's lost to John Takuchi's Cody when he played Yurien in the anchor match, but then won against Misa's Cody, Narukun's Sakira, but then lost against Gachuku's Rashid and Higuchi's Guile. So, you know, despite him being the genius pro gamer, I feel like he's one that always has a target on his back. So I feel like people are practicing, getting prepared to fight, you know, him and be prepared to fight Tokido, whether it be the Yurien, whether it be the Luke. I've seen him kind of dabble back in the Balrog on CFN, trying to get that primed and prepped. But however, Tokido does say that he's been practicing mainly on the Cody matchup, so it makes sense for him to go up. So he should be able to showcase something interesting. Here's to see what that's going to be. Momochi says Urian, he beat pretty badly last time, so he's been practicing pretty hard against Urian, so he's hoping to showcase that. So he wants that run back against the Urian. He wants to showcase what he's learned too as well. Same with Tokido.
I'm actually kind of curious to see which Urian he fell short to be honest with you. I didn't really get to see it. Yeah, in any of his matches, like he played against YC Mochi in his Dalsim, he's faced off against Mizuha's Cody, he's faced off against Fudo and Poison. We talked about that earlier. We talked about Inaba and his Bison. I don't know which Urian he might be referring to. Cole, but I'm curious to know. Now I have to look up his CFN again and see which one it is exactly he's talking about. Maybe he's talking about like somebody's Urian from like the previous season. Like I have that spreadsheet, but I don't have it open, so I'm not gonna dig into last year's archives. I'm not gonna do all that because Cody was a different beast, and so was Urian, right? A very valid point that you had mentioned. Urian's defensive options are not as effective this season. We have a headbutt that is pretty much no longer utilized on wake up. It can't be really utilized on wake up, so that's one of the biggest factors against Urian. So again, a really different piece. We see Cody's conversions be a lot more damaging off of lows. V-Trigger 1 getting a decent change up. His kit overall getting a very nice solid change up in regards to the damage output that he gets off of lows. It's a different ball game now between how the dynamic goes for these two characters, Cody and Urian specifically.
I'm so curious to see what Tokido's going to give us, to offer us. I'm also curious to see what V-Trigger 2. So I was watching Momochi stream yesterday, and he was trying to do these like ridiculous, like cool setups and resets and things like that with the V-Trigger 2. I've liked that he's kind of going on himself over to that V-Trigger as well, because I think that both V-Triggers are fantastic. I think both V-Triggers work well in this matchup either way. I think both those V-Triggers work well in most matchups, to be honest. They're so strong, they're so powerful, even with the V-Shift. So I'd like to see some of those resets, but let's see if Tokido, again, has something for us. Them long limbs, maybe that's the way to play, and that's why he is utilizing this character against Cody. Keep harassing with that button.
Yeah, and this has been his character for a while now, right? I think there's no stopping the Tokido train. He's been utilizing Urian a couple of times over. We've seen a couple of Lukes as well, but yeah, I think the normals is gonna be what's gonna separate him from using Luke specifically for this matchup, right? We see medium kick being the choice, but Cody, I will say Momochi has been reacting very well to like what Tokido wants to do, and also playing around that normal and being able to catch a couple of frame traps. And now Tokido has been caught a couple of times over pressing buttons where he shouldn't have.
Walking in the corner, careful. Yeah, blocks out the EX. Nice and safe. Now looking for the activation on hit with the crouching medium kick or crouching heavy punch. That would be real optimal, but you have to get in that distance, and it's hard to fight this medium kick. And swim in the corner via reversal immediately. EX to get right out of there. I like that sequence from Momochi. Try to get as much space up in this place and not have to hold this pressure up in the corner. But Tokido is relentless.
And it's been so tough. It's been so tough up until this point. Second mirror comes out, another throw. He's gonna be able to bounce. No reset, just goes for the damage. Goes for the tick throw. And that's gonna be more than enough. Yeah, he was holding on to that zonk for a while. Momochi with 11 seconds on the clock. How many times over have we seen him bring it down to the very last couple of seconds to get the W? Does get the buffered standing medium punch. Big confirm for the side of Tokido. Measuring things out with the standing mediums again.
And that medium kick has just been harassing Momochi over and over again. And I like that jumping medium kick just to put that on the deck. Even though it didn't land, it's just the idea of like, if you come in with the EX song, you will get clipped by this button. And you see that Tokido is just not utilizing many buttons that will get whip punch. Crouch medium kick might get the hits. You got to be careful. EX. But here's the activation, though. Trying to catch him coming the dash and command grab. He knew what he wanted. Stopped it immediately. Tokido in the lead. Oh, he finds a jump in target combo and the side switch.
And it's so funky seeing that. Back throw more than enough. Tokido tying things up in game one, round to round thus far. But now looking at the resource management, Shinobi is in gaming zone. We got Momochi. We have pretty much near critical art for Cody. Tokido's just at about like a bar in the third. 2 bars in the third, I should say. That was actually mad tricky. How often have you seen that violent knee go from one side to the other? Oh, that standing light kick is so good. That standing light kick is such a good bufferable normal. Slap that goofy out of me. That
look
was
at what leads into. Slap the taste out of his mouth. Momochi staying solid, and again, that optimal ability, having much damage as possible off of any of these hits. EX, Song, heavy addition, makes him hold the throw. Get in the corner, bro. No anti right there from Momochi. No standing heavy punch. And Tokido's definitely going to be happy about this positioning advantage, but you have to be careful of the activation that could come at any point. That's why Tokido's starting to turn up like volume in a pile of this pressure to not let that happen. Does not want to deal with the command grab or the funky setup. He's got his own. Off the medium kick.
Reset comes. Forward throw. He's going to layer the mirror on top of it. No! He actually gets caught throwing a meaty stand medium punch. And I love that from Momochi, the big reactions to go straight into the critical art. And now the trigger is going to be even more dangerous for Momochi against Tokido. The second mirror, he's not going to fear as much because that second activation is going to be coming out a little bit slower. And I love the control thus far. He's not even going to overcommit. That was so scary. Yeah, that was coming out no matter what.
And the sweep. Fantastic play from Momochi. Be able to look at where he's jumping in. It's so dangerous to jump in against Urian. The crouch fierce reaches so many range. You got heavy kick too. If you back up forward, medium punch with a quarrel punch, there are so many ways to play when it comes to the anti-airs. However, Momochi finds the right timing, the right space of this place to get outside the corner to avoid these anti-airs and to avoid Tokido's just pestering moves. Medium kick, crouch medium kick, medium punch, things like that app and damage. And then he gets that second part of the match where he gets the activation. He's been able to survive all of this, and it doesn't really feel like I'm popping V-trigger to have the comeback. It's about the footsie play today. It's about the EX song every so often to skip the neutral and lock them down or find his way out of the corner. And round after round right now, it looks like Momochi just has a great handle showcasing what he has against this Urian play. However, that EX violent knee drop side switch with it was super sick. So if Tokido has more tricks like that, it could be an even match.
No, there's going to be a lot more needed off of that. I guess once it's been shown, I feel like for someone like Momochi, he's not going to be susceptible to that again. And I feel like that felt like more of like a freak accident. I feel like that was just extremely lucky from the side of Tokido. Like we rarely get to see that kind of emulated in any sort of like training atmosphere, because you'd have to force your opponent to like sit still in neutral in that regard. I think that just happened to be a very, very fortunate incident from the side of Tokido. I rarely get to see that kind of like setup practice if it was intentional, right? Like violent knee drop where it like ends up on the other side. But I will say this, him going back into Urian is just fine. I don't know if the Luke play would be as effective, but at the same time, Momochi hasn't had any sort of record against Luke thus far from his results in regulation week's play. So we'll see how it plays out. Tokido striking first blood a little bit early, but now Momochi getting a decent amount of damage right afterwards. And I love it. Both of these players are just constantly swinging.
Now the name of the game. Oh, the sway in play. You get right around the fireball. Fantastic right here from Momochi. He lost that sway and get around the zoning. And as you said, harass with these buttons, just be swinging. I feel like that's Tokido's good gameplay when it comes to like just pestering, poking away, setting up shop for, you just emulate that or just delete the health of the table. Overhead, but Mochi's still in the lead and a lot of bar to play with. Oh, speaking of bar, V-trigger.
Watch out now. Watch out now. That's second mirror. Okay. Tokido does not get himself a block swing out of that. Momochi is going to be chilling. He's not going to be utilizing any of his V-meter, I feel like, for trigger just yet. He still has to build it. Utilize that V-shift a little bit earlier. Standing heavy punch as the anti-air. Critical art on deck as well. Momochi could possibly get a reaction and punish Tokido for doing something he shouldn't.
A good medium kick and a super good seal it. Nice and easy. Here's Tokido with the EX, V-shift. He's out of there. Careful with these jump-ins. It could be the one right here from Momochi. And could also harass with the EX on, just like that. For the activation and the push to the corner, the bar used just to push him to the corner. So that's one more in the tank.
This could be.
And V-trigger.
Oh,
what a sway. What a sway.
No,
lean back
he
with
reacted.
It.
He reacted to the EX tornado. and Tokido wasn't in time. The violent knee drop, sure, it goes past the fireball, but there's just so much time in between, and you can see Momochi running away with it. How many throws? How many throws has he gotten? What, 6? It adds fuel to the fire. Tokido, he wanted these throws. Now he gets the mirror. He gets the side switch as well. That's right. Yeah, and the V shift out from Momochi to apply pressure afterwards even more. EX Zonk finding his way out of the corner. How is this second mirror going to come out for Tokido? Is it even going to come out with the amount of life he has left? He could get pretty much smoked by the EX Zonk knuckle. Watch out for the throw. And Tokido knew it.
Momochi walking back. Want to build up that bar with the medium kick. Build the EX bar at the bottom with the medium kick, just trying to walk in with the throw, no go. Tokido hanging on by a thread. There's so much he has to do, so much work he has to do. V-reversal backs him up. Time is still winding down. And the
crouching glide kick to take it away. Tokido actually
the tip of
goes
the toes.
Down. Goes down 0-2. Unfortunately, it was enough for St. Cola's mic to blow out just a little bit. He was going in. I heard it. St. Cola, I heard you. Don't worry about it. The folks at home may not have heard everything, but we definitely heard it. Don't worry about that. Hopefully, we have you back. I'm going to give you a little bit of a check and breathing room. You're good? Okay, great. Now he's back. All right, cool. A little bit of a hiccup there in one little tidbit there, but Momochi again taking it down 2-0 against Tokido Zurien. Very impressive, being able to deter the threat of the second mirror. I think more often than not he stopped the second mirror from coming out. Right, I think the first mirror may have hit a couple of times over for Tokido, but it's always that second mirror I feel like is just as dangerous, and it's also going to be like one of the bigger threats. It's like, all right, well, how is this going to come out? How is this going to catch me slipping?
That's right. I mean, like the defense just in general from Momochi was fantastic. You saw that last hit, that light kick to do it, that crouching light kick, non-committal button, nice, easy to seal it. And just the fact that he knew how to push Tokido up in the corner continuously too as well. You see right here, the anti-air 50 on the deck right there, left side of the screen. But I want to go back to how Momochi was playing just overall. Like, I love his defense because we talk about how the defense is lacking when it comes to Cody. He spent the bar for the super. He'd either, like, you know, delay button and things like that, or he'd stay at a distance where Tokido was gonna have to spin bar to be just negative. You know, EX tackle isn't really gonna matter in a lot of these situations. And he's jumping out of the corner to find the right time to jump out of the corner to avoid the crouch fierce, to avoid the standing heavy kick. Tokido wasn't really expecting it, wasn't really getting those hits, and able to get a jump and target combo, jump and medium kick too as well, and get the maximum amount of damage. Was just fantastic timing overall from Momochi. This defensive tactics and tendencies and natures were what allowed him to stay solid against someone like Tokido, who's pestering him with medium kick, medium punch, which seemed to be like the name of the game. Like, I'm gonna use my medium kick against your medium kick because it outranges you. However, he would utilize his way to get in with the EX Zonk every so often and then get in that right range where that button just did not matter. So fantastic play during Momochi's gameplay right here, and that means we are in the anchor match.
Yeah, overall impressive performance from Shinobiism Gaming thus far. Torimeshi is going to be the one up to play with Dalsim, and Nanai actually had predicted that the Swanky Ninja will be facing off in the anchor match, and for good reason, right? You have G going up against a Dalsim. I think that's going to be a very, very effective matchup as a counter pick choice. I'm kind of curious to see how Torimeshi navigates his way past the world president. I want to know exactly what's going to happen when he finds himself in the corner against somebody who could be such an impressive beast, right? We've seen the effects of G in the corner. He may not be dishing out like the most damage off of a successful command grab anymore, but I will say, like, Torimeshi should be more than prepared. It's just a matter of like how he's gonna fight his way out. So very curious to see this specific matchup, and I was excited for it. Once Nanai had predicted this earlier in the pregame show, he's like talking about how Johnny would be the one to kind of stop this matchup. I would expect maybe like Cody to be like in that anchor position, maybe even like a Luke from Fujimura. But sending Johnny in here is pretty exciting overall.
Yeah, we haven't seen Johnny in a bit. The last time he played was when he won his game against Kawano. And so he's 1-0 right now. He might be up 2-2 as well. I want to see this matchup just in general, how it plays out with this new season of G. You know, G's been weakened, you know, but in some ways he is stronger. Being able to be a level 3 lets you choose level 2, level 1 fireballs. But I feel like that level 3 fireball is going to be very important to get that knockdown. And once he does get that knockdown, as you point out, it's a matter of dealing with the defense of the deck. Like, what's Tormeshi's defensive options? D-Shift and D-Break will help you out against G, especially this season. However, I don't think that is going to be like a pivotal thing, especially with the corner. You can shift in the corner, you're so caught up in the corner. So Tormeshi's got to play this perfectly. In the first of 3 against a grappler player, it's going to give you a little bit more time to understand how they want to play, but that's also what the grappler wants to as well. More data to utilize and figure out what you want to do as well and break you down.
Really excited to see how this plays out. Tormeshi had said before he had to get up. Oh my God! Hold on. Looking at his stats, 2 out of 3, 67%. Hold the phone real quick. Let me talk about his quote a little bit later. Looking at his matchups thus far, he had to face off against YIC Mochi in the Faded Mirror match. He actually won that 2-1. And then that was in week 5. A little bit earlier, his matchup as the anchor against Akira, that one actually was such a really close match. It was down to the wire as well. He got that 3-2. I think other than that, I think he showcased himself in the first week, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, Torimeshi actually fell short against Nauman's Luke. Right, so we do have that data. We do have the history between how he plays specifically against Luke's. He fell short 1-2. So again, we thought the Luke play was going to be the issue here, but as it stands right now, Torimeshi, I don't know how sure he is against this G, but he says himself he will do his best.
Johnny says he's nervous. He's been dreaming lately. All the people he sees in his dream, their hands, their arms are growing long. Not sure what that means, but what it means right now is that we are in the anchor match just like that. Again, defense. Oh, I see. I mean, we're talking about Johnny. He does have long limbs. We're in V-skill addition for the Oki and the command grab. Not a lot of damage, as you pointed out. Less damage this season, but still, you're caught up in the corner. Not where you want to be.
I don't love the V reversal, very common tactic against V-Trigger 1. Torimeshi with the side switch. Adding a little bit of that gray life. And I love that, yeah, stand jab, stopping the Mummy Drill entirely. Look at the long limbs of the law. Jesus. Yo, Johnny, please. You can't be stealing bases like that. This ain't baseball. Come on, man.
Went from first to fourth with the quickness, immediately with the buffer. That's the typical G game plan. Oh, what a jump in on the medium kick. Reading the economy of buttons. What you have to do against Sim. And again, the jump in. Almost got that sun once that one hit to get it done. Oh, but here's the side activation. Side switch, of course, get outside of that situation. Mesh with a lot of bar to utilize.
I'll take you to a baseball game, Cole. I'm going to tell you right now, man. Next time you're down in SoCal, I'm taking you to a baseball game to make sure that you know it's first home going forward, brother. But I'll tell you what right now. Yeah, it's a very good point. Like, Johnny has done such a fantastic job of trying to deter the threat of some of these normals, with the Mummy Drill still coming in full effect. And again, highway robbery intact. Watch out now. Oh, you're dead. Actually, I think you might be dead. Watch out for the throw.
Oh.
Torimeshi absolutely ready for
it.
Hit
though. We'll have to have a heavy kick crush, but still one more hit will kill. And a double KO that ends in Tormeshi's favor. Oh, Johnny's favor. My bad. Smart. I looked at the rounds in the wrong way. Oh my gosh.
Yeah, there was a significant gap, right, between the normal into the fireball. So being able to contest against that and seeing that Torimeshi only had like a sliver of life left, Johnny had pretty much thread the needle perfectly to get that exchange in his favor.
Johnny riding that momentum. Look at that fierce. He's got the buffers behind it too as well. Would love to have a crush, but the challenge right here for Torimeshi. Oh, there's that crush I was talking about. And the command grab. We saw this move before. Let's see what Torimeshi has in store for defense. Blocking it out. Doesn't check the dash. It's so hard. You're so worried about so many things with his character, that distance, and the light kick for the stun.
Jeez, the damage too. Especially how the stun even occurred. he only had one hit behind it, so he wasn't going to fear any sort of significant scaling to stop the rest of that combo from hurting or doing big damage. Big Yoga Anvil, speaking of big damage.
We saw that in the Akira match continuously, where he would just have those fantastic anti-airs on the point. And now the air-to-air right there. Tormeshi blocking him before he can come in. You have to worry about that V-trigger as this round goes down from Johnny.
And I love this Tormeshi just controlling the space a lot of the times with some of the heavier normals in his arsenal. He hasn't really had any sort of need to go in with any of the mummy drills, but as soon as he started actually going, yeah, he caught Johnny off guard just a little bit over. He thought Johnny could sneak in there. Tormeshi ready to fire with the buttons, crouching light punch to start things off from that combo. And I love the stoppage, crouching heavy punch to stop Johnny in his tracks from trying to steal a couple of bases here. Crouching heavy punch is now coming into play, or actually standing heavy punch starting to come into play a little bit more from Tormeshi now, and medium punches for that matter.
Doing a fantastic job of just keeping him outside a certain space, outside the medium kicks and things like that, making it real ambiguous of what he wants to do with the buttons too as well, and checking the dashes before they can come in. Careful now. Oh, that light could have been real deadly into the corner carry, but the Gale, the Hadasa wins in the end. V skill flips a button and the crush, looking for the activation. There it is. V shift. And you see him just delay a little bit to let that V-shift rock.
Oh, he actually got Tormeshi trying to move backwards. Maybe micro walk out. Oh. Watch out for the command grab. That'll do it if he gets got. Regular throw. Uh-oh. If he builds up critical art, it's going to be so dangerous. And he called it nice and clean. Johnny had anticipated any sort of movement from Tormeshi, then jumped back away from the fireball to catch him slipping. 2-0 thus far for the G player.
We typically see is the EX Fireball and the teleport outside the corner. We've seen Tormeshi utilize that so much. EX Fireball gets some distance, side switch, or V-trigger too as well. But now Johnny is reading the defensive habits. You called out the backdash too as well, where you got caught off the V-trigger low. It's just now Johnny blowing up the defensive options over and over again. Not only reading the economy of buttons, but what he wants to do on defense. And then he puts up in the corner, and while he doesn't always get the kill in the corner, what he does is sap away enough life where it's so hard to fight back from the sim. So Tormeshi just keep eating up everywhere on the screen continuously. That's what he has to do now.
Not move. He's gonna have to stay still, unfortunately. But that leaves you susceptible to a lot of the command grabs, or even like some of the throws that Johnny had utilized in between. So it is a very big ask from Tormeshi to try to sit still. I think maybe even trying to do something like a jump might be problematic, because if it's not smash under, it might be smash over if Johnny predicts it correctly. So we'll see what the defensive options are going to be for Tormeshi. That's going to be the question of the matchup. It's what Tormeshi needs to do. Like, what does he have to do to stop some of these advances from Johnny?
Round one.
And so hard because I feel like Johnny's such an aggressive G player. Like, you've seen him take risks to find reward like that round start with the low stuff. And I feel like there's not a big punch that you can get off that distance anyway, so I like that option for Johnny. And the command grab comes into play. The upper to put him down to the ground in full presidentiality. Might be 4 more years out here. The side switch gets a knockdown and letting some of that presidentiality off the table.
Oh my God.
With the light buffers, the tail, the types, over and over again.
Tormeshi, we talked about being a little bit more mobile. Yo, Johnny had covered that counterplay from the start of the game. He'd been throwing out so many normals to stop Tormeshi from moving over and over and over again, and now Tormeshi is sitting still. Can't afford any other touches. And the trade-off, no, actually just a big counterplay standing medium kick to stuff out the crouching heavy punch against Tormeshi. Looking at match point, Johnny having all the right answers, stuffing out what Tormeshi wanted to do on defense.
I like this play, just adding up in terms of your toolkit. Even if you're winning, just adding more and more in the mental stack like that, and more options you have to worry about. Now Tormeshi getting a lot more aggressive, but there's that buffer off the fierce back B skill. Goes in for the Oki, makes him hold the throw. I like that choice. You only need that presidentiality. So you have him locked up in the corner. EX Fireball backs away. Now we're about even. Actually, Tormeshi leading and finds the activation, make him bleed, and the activation also cooks him and eliminates some of this help with the Gray Life. One more touch. Sniper. Ooh, I got God.
I think everybody got God, to be fair. I think the instant Yoga Gale is 90% of the time the biggest killer in a lot of the matches. And that's a fake statistic. Don't worry about that. But yeah, instant Yoga Gale is always going to be problematic against a lot of these players that do any sort of delay tech, any sort of late button in general. So Johnny, again, being taken down in that round. A very significant one for Torimeshi, but can he survive enough to get this comeback to happen? Johnny already puts Torimeshi into this corner. And the command grab from that far away, he actually used Crouching Light Punch as a measuring tool. As soon as he saw it whiff, he went right into it. This is going to be more than enough. Game, set, match. Johnny is going to take it down. That is another 40-point ball game, ladies and gentlemen. It has been nothing but consistent W's. I think this is our second time we see. Dang, yo, Shinobiism Gaming actually has gone undefeated from the last time they played this week. Like week 5, day 2, they went 100% with Fujimura, Yamaguchi, and Momochi. This time it's a different time, or it's a different set. Yamaguchi, Momochi, and Johnny. This is a hot streak for the young team.
Absolutely. And we saw last time they played that Johnny wasn't ready. He wasn't steady. Johnny wasn't feeling good, so they switched him out with somebody else. And now they switched him in. He said, now this time, I can do it. I can win. And look at that, 40 points. And not only that, denying any points on the other side of the other team of FAB. Reminder that FAB was the winning team of last season. What a statement from Shinobiism Gaming to take them down. And not only just take them down, but so dominantly. Placement of the characters, the players, everything running perfectly. And it seemed like they were just too strong, especially this last match with Johnny. Running all over Torimeshi, continuously adding up offensive decisions, continuously adding up the mental stat, continuously making it biggest when he was going to get those dashes. And you saw him making it real ambiguous when he does the dashes. He got checked with the dashes continuously in one of those rounds, and he was like, let me stop, pull back a little bit. Let me buffer that fierce. Walk fierce, that's fine. Walk up light punch, that's fine. And then hide the dashes. Just building up that offense that just layered too much for Torimeshi to deal with.
Yeah, looking at overall Johnny's win record thus far, right? I feel like he was more than ready. He was just putting himself on the bench for the rest of the team to shine, because thus far Johnny is 100%. He has 100% win rate. I think like one of the strongest win rates. Granted, he only played twice, right? Week number 1 and in this week. But even in his matches from week number 1, he hadn't faltered at all against Kawano's Colleen. And that is like fresh off of the EVO win Kawano, right? That's super impressive. So Johnny being definitely the person to behold for Shinobiism Gaming. And I will say, like, his adaptation, I think primarily between game number 2 into game number 3, when we talked about what Torimeshi needs to do in regards to defense, Johnny, I felt like was reading or listening through the streams, right? Both in Japanese and English. He's like, oh, these guys think Torimeshi should choose movement as an option. I'm going to throw out some of these normals to stop these pre-jump frames. I'm going to throw out some of these normals to make sure Torimeshi never moves again, and prove to be the winner with that factor. I think there's a lot to be said in regards to how Johnny had adapted round per round, or actually game per game, and it's so impressive to force opponents to play the way that you expect them to play. It's so smart from Johnny to be able to get that counterplay ready so quickly.
Especially not falling into the rhythm too as well. Like, you don't want to have to fall in the rhythm of Sin, because he picks away, he builds up bar, and then we get the quote-unquote zoning play where it's like 40% damage off some EX bars being utilized. He avoids those situations very well. When you see a G player offensive V reversal somebody in the corner to keep him there, that's a really good sign. And again, Johnny utilizing all the tools of the character, a character that has been left aside by many players because of the fact that the robbery isn't as clear-cut. But if you have the neutrals, if you have the buffers, if you have the confirms, things like that, G is still a threat. Maybe not as strong as he was previous seasons, and that's because of the defensive options also in the game and how the other characters have developed, but he is still a threat. He can still rob you. It's just in a different way. You just have to be a little bit more on point, and you have to be a little bit more on the case, and that's what we saw today as Johnny came to play. As you pointed out, being able to sit with those defensive options, flipping them low, round start, taking these risks to find reward, and these are smart risks. If he would have got blocked with that low round start, you would have ate a little bit of damage light into Yoga Flame, right? Maybe that's the maximum amount that maybe Sim could get off that situation, if that. So I like him calculating these things properly and saying, if I'm getting dash checked so much, let me pull back a little bit. He's accessing his damage here. Let me just peel it back a little bit like that, and then you utilize the other buttons. I have so many other buttons that reach. I'm fine with using Fierce and Walk In to get my win. And also these V skills. We saw the V skill clip one of these normals continuously, get the knockdown, and that's allowing G to get the Oki. Forcing formation against continues over and over again.
So we do have the winner interview going on right now. Kind of listening in to what Fujimura had to say, but starting things off with Yamaguchi, he was debating whether or not to play today, and not until last minute, Fujimura had actually said, you know, Yamaguchi, you'll do all right. So he chose to play. He's glad to have won. Momochi, he was emotionally moved watching the other players' game, watching watching Yamaguchi and Bonchan perform in that first match. It was enough for him to kind of compel himself forward for the next match. In regards to the Urian match, he had mentioned it earlier. He said he had lost to Tokido pretty badly in a record prior, but I don't know how true that is, because in the CPT, I think in winners round 6 for this year, he actually took down Tokido 2-1. But I will say, like, overall, the overall record that Momochi and Tokido like have, I think Tokido has gotten the W 63% of the time in regards to like all the matchups they've had from like year after year after year. But yeah, he didn't want to lose that way ever again, so he's obviously super glad that he won. What did Fujimura have to say in regards to his winning interview? Well, at least technically he didn't play, but he had a couple of words. We saw him kind of laughing it up with his team.
Seems like he said that Yamaguchi didn't seem so confident, but he had trust in him. I really like that he trusted his teammates. Like, even though Yamaguchi may have said, hey, I'm not confident about this match, like, he knew that his play was enough today. He knew, like, hey, you can actually do this. And that's the cool thing about having these team sort of tournaments. Like, you understand your player sometimes better than they understand themselves. Maybe they're not feeling right, but you like, I know you can do this. And Johnny did an awesome job. Everyone standing out. Everyone standing out their expectations. You know, everyone did well. Johnny said last time he played was a month ago. Still on the bench. He's been practicing the sim matchup, been able to win. He's very happy. And he didn't think he dreamed people growing arms and legs. So that sounds like a nightmare. Hopefully the nightmares are over of having to deal with sim, at least for now.
Yeah, man. I mean, like, having somebody dream about growing arms and legs, that sounds pretty terrifying. I can't imagine what kind of like functionality you would have doing that, what that would kind of feel like, having like, you know, like a bone growth potion, etc. But I will say, Johnny, again, having the right preparation for the right moments is absolutely critical in regards to like getting as many points as possible. This is going to skyrocket Shinobiism Gaming going forward, right? Shinobiism Gaming actually had come into this match with 120 points, sitting at third place. Now they're currently at 160, which puts them above Nagoya Oja Body Star, who are currently at 140, and just within contention against Good 8 Squad, who have to play pretty much later on in I think next week. Yeah, I think next Tuesday. But as it stands right now, yeah, that's super important to get yourself as far ahead of the pack as possible. Also, preventing a lot of these points from coming out for V6 Plus FAV Gaming. A couple of final words from Emoji. Pretty straightforward. Actually, Johnny kind of had a couple of closing words as well. He says, thank you to everyone for cheering and supporting me. Been going on a strict diet to lose some weight, going to pamper myself tonight. That's what I'm talking about. Self-care is the best care. Momochi, again, talking about the big 40-point game. He will try to go, or they will try to go for 40 in the next game as well. Looking forward to it. Shinobiism Gaming not looking to pump the brakes anytime soon. 80 points total thus far, yo. St. Cola, they've been 100, literally 100% thus far in this week's games.
That's absolutely ridiculous when you think about the fact that like you have such top-tier talent out here. We'll look at the stats real quick too as well. The anti-airs on the side of Johnny. I just want to point out that those were leading to the demise of Tormeshi. Continues with the Fierce, with the V-skill, things like that. A lot of good anti-airs on the side of our friend Tormeshi. Just not enough to do in terms of the damage. But having this big lead, having this momentum, also showcasing that it can be done against this top-tier talent here, the best of Japan. The fact that you have the ability to smoke these cats 40, 2 times in a row shows that you can't tell what's going on, what's going to happen in these matches, and then as well that if you have this momentum, that can be done. If you put the practice in, even you can defeat like the top tier talent just expeditiously.
They are the top tier talent. That's the thing. When it comes to the atmosphere of Street Fighter League Japan, it is nothing but top tier talent versus top tier talent. And it's more of, I feel like, just what happens in regards to the amount of research being done, right? I think that is something we can both agree on. I think, you know, the amount of research that is done from all ends of the players involved. We see it on their streams. We see it in various other elements at locals, etc. But these guys are putting in the work, right? They're anticipating every single possible outcome. We even hear it from the side of Nanai talking about what could be put out there for the roster, right? Or at least what could be out there for the matches. But as it stands, speaking of the matches, we do have the highlights, right? We had Bonchan very, very close to taking down Yamaguchi, right? We talked about the very, very important fireballs that Luke present and being able to leave other players susceptible to the fireball traps going in from a regular one into EX2, and the big old jump in, right? After that first game, it was a battle of attrition. The Fireball War battle of attrition. Afterwards, Yamaguchi's like, all right, I'm done playing the way that you want to play. Let me show you my style. And pretty much, I'm going to say it. I'm going to be straight up, mop the floor with Bonchan's Sagat.
Main line, janitorial duties were definitely done out here. Same on the side right here of Shobium Gaming's own captain, Momochi. As he survived a lot of these V-trigger mix-ups, you see the double fireball, that's super cool. The damage that Yuri can present is still there. The normals are still there, but Momochi, he just knows when to hit that EX off, right? Like, that's such a great, powerful tool. He builds up bar so quickly. He's always harassing the normals. And look at that, being able to jump in on a character like Urian continuously just shows me how comfortable he is, not only in this match, but against someone like Tokido, and that he was definitely wanting not to have to hold another L. And even that gameplay that Tokido presented, medium kicks and things like that, look at how prepared he is for everything that this character does, for every option. Tokido going for that EX violent knee, no go. V-skill immediately with the sway. We saw that sway come into play quite a bit with the fireballs too as well, and that non-committal button. And last but not least is definitely the Johnny versus Torimachi match that we saw to end things off.
It was so impressive, right? Back-to-back adaptations from Johnny being able to keep Torimeshi guessing consistently. And just the threat of the command grab against Dhalsim has just been so effective, right? And look at this. Just how are you supposed to get out of this corner? And this is the trade-off. This is the trade-off we were talking about earlier, right? We're going to see the fireball go into the double KO right there. That's exactly it. Yeah, after the crouching heavy punch, it's not going to be a true block string. So that was very, very smart for Johnny to take advantage of that situation despite being on the defensive end. And this is where it all went sour, right? Torimeshi biting into spoiled fruit, thinking he can get away. No, sir. The stun is there. And look at that. Again, Johnny absolutely in complete control afterwards. Even at the deficit, right? We started to see a little bit of potential from Torimeshi, but it just wasn't enough to stop the sleeping giant that is G and Johnny. We see it again.
Absolutely. You see him just staying away.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Up back fears, we see the activation, things like that. You know, the defense that, oh my gosh, owning these throws and things like that. Like Torimeshi, they have some good moments. Like he did blow up that throw tech right there, but just in the corner is where we saw a lot of what Johnny wanted to do in terms of dealing with this character. V-Ship was looking out for it, holds that, and actually finds a punch. See the counter it right there. And again, Johnny just so strong at this match. Had studied, stay studious, and put it into practice. 3-0. Talk about janitorial duties being done all the way we saw with Bonchan. I think that was across the board.
That's fair. Yeah, that is a fair assessment. I think the closest thing to like the wash, I feel like would be like Johnny and Yamaguchi's match. I think Momochi's match against Tokido was kind of even, right? I think there was a little bit to be said about that. Like maybe not game number 2, but game number 1. I feel like that's been like the way of the ninja thus far for Shinobiism Gaming. It's like keep the first couple of games close, and then in the last one, show them that your league's above the competition. That's exactly what Shinobiism Gaming is kind of looking like right now, with 80 points in a matter of a single week. Again, I did mention this is technically week 6, which it is, right? Day 1, week 6. But man, 80 points, undefeated record thus far. I'm looking forward to seeing whether or not they continue this hot streak in the next set of team battles that they have in the next week for Shinobiism Gaming specifically. But we are getting ourselves ready for the next matchup. We see what's been going down thus far. We saw the Fighter 6 Closed Beta. I'm still looking at replays to this day on YouTube, on Twitter as well. What you should be looking forward to is the World Warrior project coming in, especially for the Japanese region. Shuto got the second one. John Takuchi got the first one. The third one's going to be happening October 22nd. Mark your calendars because we're getting ever so close to seeing that big showdown happen. But thus far, you know, we see a lot of the support coming in from the Japan side of things for Street Fighter League Japan. We love to see a lot more of that on the social atmosphere. At Capcom_esports is where you need to go to check out all the information going in for Street Fighter League Japan. But as it stands right now, we still have another matchup. St. Cola, it's going to be Saishunkan Seoul Kumamoto versus Kamufun Detonation. How do you feel about that?
I feel like it's going to be a fantastic match as these teams have to claw their way up to the top, so they're definitely be sliding in. See who's going to get the win. We're going to see after this break who's going to take it. Stick with us. チームや選手たちに試合の感想や応援コメントつぶやいてください。番組の中でもご紹介させていただきますので、どしどしお待ちしております。そして YouTube、Twitch の各チャンネル登録、Twitter のフォローも合わせてよろしくお願いいたします。この後は試合準備のため休憩に入らせていただきます。再開は21時14分と、させていただきまして、第6節令和マッチ2最春カンソル熊本対コミファデトネーションの模様をお届けしてまいります。それでは一旦失礼いたします。
ご安全にな。
お、新入りかな。いい顔に撮れてるじゃないか。改めて担当教官のルークだ。よろしくな。
始めるかしよう。勝負だ。投票入りでごわす。手加減は期待しないでくれ。よくくれ。おい、ちょうだけじゃ。
さあここからはマッチ2の模様をお届けしてまいります。
And welcome back to episode 6, day 1 of Street Fighter League Japan. My name is Seiko. I'm joined with Vicious, and we are in the second half of these matches. If you missed the ones previously, make sure to hit those VODs. But now, let's get in the nitty-gritty. Vicious, who do we have on the deck for the people?
Well, as you can see, coming in from Saishunkan Seoul Stadium, we have that team sitting on the home side. It's going to be against Capcom Fighters Nation sitting on the away side. Let's get into it. Let's take a look at the roster. Coming in hot, Inabashi Zangief. You already know he's going to be the captain of Capcom Fighters Nation, the strong-arm pillar, the mule ticket as well. with that G. Followed up by previous EVO Japan champion. On the side of the Brave, the hero side, it's Nauman rocking Luke as well. The babyface trickster, young John Takeuchi, with his patented Cody. Rounding it out with the Ace's return. We saw his debut a little bit earlier this week. It's Udio with that Rose. A very, very diverse roster and a very high-spirited one at that. We're going to see how much that spirit leads them to success against Saishunkan Seoul Kumamoto today.
That's right. Let's see who the sun shines on right now. Let's get it started with Kumamoto's team. Brute King himself, the Violent Emperor, Nemo, with that Falk and Yuri in play. Right after that is going to be the Prodigy, Higuchi, one of the most aggressive guys in the business, doing the business. Right after that is going to be the little devil himself, Shuto. Despite the name, he has one of the most defensive Yurians in the game. And last but not least, it's going to be the monk himself, YT Mochi, with that superpowered sim. This team is super stacked, but they're looking to get some more wins as they're in the bottom position. Only I believe they're in 7th place, and they want more points to store. It's going to be a very rough battle because Complement Detonation has a lot of great characters, a lot of great players, but I'm getting ahead of myself. So we're going to be seeing what the away side is going to be picking and slotting in to try to get their wins. I'm curious to see what characters they're going to be utilizing. Curious to see if they're going to be utilizing our Ace's return. And there he is in the anchor position. What do you think about this lineup right here, Vicious?
So it's going to be Luke, Cody, and Rose. I think they're utilizing Udio, especially with the way that he performed the last time he was up. I think he did just fine. We're still trying to get a little bit more out of him, and I think that's going to be like the captain's discretion. He's going to be pretty much sending out Udio more often than not. But I also think having Nauman and John Takeuchi as the front runners is more than enough to get like Udio's confidence boosting and to get him ready for his anchor match. I think this is more so of like a testing for morale, but also is going to be a pretty safe way to hedge your bets, because you have what, Nauman's Luke, John Takeuchi's Cody, both those characters very effective, and both of these players some of the best in their degree for Comprised Detonation. So I think overall, my consensus, it's going to be a good one for Comprised Detonation, despite being on the away side. If you were on the home side, St. Cola, if you're a part of Saishunkan Seoul Kumamoto, looking at this current roster, who would you send out first against Nauman?
They read my mind. I like Higuchi going up with the Guile pick. We've seen how well he works against Luke's just overall. I feel like he's got a great game plan against Luke's just in general. So I like that they're sending him up right now off the bat. We talk about like the players, you know, going up off the bat first before the anchor positions and things like that, the 10-pointers. It's the same side of things with Saishunkan Seoul Kumamoto. They have a really good vanguard to go up first before they have their anchor position. And someone like Higuchi, I feel like can keep up with that sort of, I don't want to say wild style, but more aggressive style that Nauman has presented. We saw with the Sakura. We've seen him with his Luke play. So I think someone that wants to play at that same tempo is going to be Higuchi. I feel like they both have that young man energy. I'm actually not sure if Nauman is that young as Higuchi is, because I know Higuchi just turned 21 recently, I believe. But that play style, they seem pretty similar in terms of momentum and pacing. So I like them sitting someone that is familiar with that and can play to that kind of style.
And we'll see if that aggression actually is going to pay off for someone like Nauman, who's been on a downward streak thus far. I think Nauman has yet to find success in any of his matches outside of week number 1, right? We saw him debut against Torimeshi's Dalseum. He actually took that down 2-1. Outside of that, however, it's been a whole different story. Looking at the home side, though, with Saishunkan Seoul Kumamoto, Higuchi has been the one raking in all of these points. Week 1 and 2, he's found success. Even in week number 3, as the anchor, he took down Gunfight 3-1. Going into week number 4 as well, also the anchor against Mizuha 3-1. And then up until earlier this week, actually in week number 5, day 1, I believe. So that was last week, actually. Higuchi had taken it down 2-1 against Tokudo's Luke, and it was a very emphatic win, a very emotionally driven win also from the side of Higuchi. You can see it 5 out of 5, 100%. I'm actually kind of surprised we're not going to see Higuchi as the anchor, considering Saishunkan Sol Kumamoto needs just as many points as Kamufa does, right? Sitting at 6th and 7th. I think they have like a 5-point lead above Detonation, if I'm not mistaken. No, I lied. They actually have a 25-point lead. They have 90. Detonation has 65, so they still need as many points as possible.
Yeah, I wonder what they're going to do for the anchor position, but I do like that Higuchi's going here to kind of start things off. You know, maybe he would be better suited, maybe matchup-wise, and also to kind of finish things off. But like, this is the momentum starter. You have to kind of rely upon your other teammates to kind of get the W. We'll talk about that a little bit later. But again, Higuchi being able to take down Tokido kind of showed me that he has a really good game plan against Luke. And I feel like even against characters, and this is about Luke, but just in general, how he deals with matchups, how he labs, like he's a really big lab rat that people just don't see, that allows him to play effectively. That style that he has, it's really risky in some aspects where he's negative. He'll take back his turn after an upside down kick, one of his favorite moves, by the way. Or the Sabato too as well. He's able to kind of make the read on what the player wants to do, and you know, in terms of distance and data and stuff like that. So it's all predicated by data previously before he makes these risky decisions, which allows him to play solid and get these W's, which is, I think, again, him and Kaba are the templates of how to play Gal. I keep saying this, and we keep seeing the success of both Higuchi and Kaba in some cases too as well. We'll see if that success continues or if it's going to be stopped, if Nauman has something for him. Nauman does have other characters. We've seen the Laura, but I feel like it's all going to be about the Luke today. I feel like there's no reason really to switch. I feel like, you know, Nauman just has to get in the trend of how to really utilize his character, because he's had more time obviously with Sakura. But you know, Luke just, I mean, compared to other characters, recently came out. So let's see what's about Higuchi versus Nauman.
This is going to be a very exciting match. We're going to see the battle of the offensive young guns. Higuchi with Guile, Nauman with Luke. This is going to be pretty interesting. Higuchi, we're going to see how this plays out for the beginning phases of the game. Luke from Nauman. We're going to see if he gets fall susceptible to the fireballs. Starting things off, already trying to introduce themselves within mid to close range. Couple of booms thus far from Higuchi. Now he's going to be swinging with the fisticuffs. Forward fierce also to check Nauman. Now he's throwing out some of the pocket sand. The sand blasters are coming in against the sonic booms.
Find that forward fierce interruption against the fireball and the back heavy kick, but Higuchi ducking, flipping him, but off the medium target combo. In the corner you go, even on that back rise. Still surprised he's still. And you see a lot more of these players, these Luke players, utilizing that V skill to just make another layer of offense that you have to worry about on your wake up.
Look at this thus far. Nauman doing an excellent job of deterring Higuchi and actually preventing him from getting his offense started despite being in trigger, pretty much nullifying the effects and the mix that could come from that trigger one from Guile. Full critical art on deck as well from Higuchi. He could actually make this his game. Oh no, I lied to you all. Standing medium punch confirm. Yes sir, Nauman getting big damage, especially utilizing that meter off of the low medium kick afterwards. But now it's going to be Higuchi's turn, potentially, with how much bar he has. Yup, starting things off. EX flash kick. Sorry, EX sonic boom.
Why is it just like one to get it done? And you saw the yellow. I get it. But Higuchi, I like him using one of those bars. If you do that early in the round, you're going to get the bar back and be able to seal up the super. But Nauman, so confident to stay in that range where Higuchi would love to press, dash in once again, double time with the throw, interrupts the dash, and this time the back throw from Higuchi, and another one. Dragon suplex down the ground, the meaty, the sweep off the feet, another throw. He getting handsy with the man. No EX to lock him down, but I like that distance and the counter hit. That'll do it.
Man, you were not kidding when you were talking about the offensive pressure both of these players present against each other. And it all started from Higuchi getting the big EX sonic boom for this, scoring the first knockdown against Nauman. It was all in that one moment.
Oh. And nice. And that distance to anti-air, nice and easy. He backs up just enough to not give up too much space for this place, but has that perfect range for the anti-air. And the fist to face into the super. A lot of damage. Higuchi in the lead. Will have B-Trigger to back himself up later on if need be. Now I'm going to make some tough decisions.
Yeah, it's going to be so tough. Utilizing the rest of the meter that he has against Higuchi right now, there is a bunch of gray life adding from both sides up. But Higuchi is going to be the one trying to cash out on it. No, it was Nauman first. EX Sandblast to catch Higuchi off guard. but it's not going to be enough. You can't stop the man from moving forward. Not enough. Higuchi with a slight head nod. He's like, you know, he tried it. He did get counter hit for it, and that's the first game going in for Higuchi's favor.
He just lulls you in this false sense of security of just layering on the booms, and it makes it so hard to read if he's gonna, like, you know, dash in, or if he's gonna just walk up back fist or the four fears, any of those things. Higuchi getting that rhythm back like that. I mean, before he said he won't panic, he will stay calm and he will witness. And look at how calm he is in this match. Look at how he backs up in the right space, right angles and things like that with punish target combo, building up the damage and the right choice for the anti-air. Yo, the jump back heavy kick, the layers of Higuchi.
And I'm loving this right now. Higuchi in full control yet again, near 50%. Nauman gets the opener, low medium kick, the kind of standard procedure you would see from Luke going into EX Flash Knuckle. But now we're going to see whether or not Nauman has what it takes to stop Higuchi from pressing any sort of buttons just outside medium range. That leaves him way more susceptible than not. The suppressor catching Higuchi off guard. Higuchi was actually shook by it. He shook his head. He was not happy about that situation.
It's like, dang, you using that V-Trigger? That's wild. Or V-Skill? That's actually wild. That's the Chris CCH right there. If you haven't seen it, make sure you all watch FIFA League US too as well. But I like that a lot of these players are utilizing that V-Skill too. I feel like all these Luke players are gravitating towards that V-Skill because you do get that extra mix with it. EX bar utilized right here for the corner carry, and no surprise back, medium, meaty. The attack, the Higuchi defensive tactic, the stay away. But he's still caught up in the corner. And Nauman, pressure him and put him down. Give us more games.
Ooh, wee.
Oh, beautiful jump in.
Back throw will do it as well. EX Flash kick heard around the arena. Yeah, Higuchi still not able to make anything of it, really. He's trying to dash up. Nauman catches him off guard. The target combo, Higuchi thinking he can possibly steal a turn back after an EX Flash kick. Anything like an EX uppercut, really, you're not really allowed to take your turn back. You can't really dash up and get any sort of Oki. That's just like how the game works, right? After any sort of EX get off me move, you're not allowed to get any sort of Oki. And Nauman, again, caught Higuchi trying to steal bases a couple of times over. I'm going to keep using these baseball references because it feels like baseball hour. But again, Nauman taking it down, finding pretty big salvageable situation here against Higuchi.
I gotta keep talking about that V-Skill too, like being able to pressure someone like Higuchi has fantastic defense up in the corner, being able to layer on that offense a little bit too as well, and the fact that you have to worry about is if he has EX bar, he can extend it. He might go -2. He might go into the EX fireball right after and keep his turn. You have to be worried about that, and you see that Higuchi's a little bit off his game because right after we're seeing the jump-ins come through where they were just anti-air perfectly previously. So I feel like that's like a tall tale right there where it's like, oh dang, he's not getting his anti-airs on. That means I can just pressure him, continuously rush him down to Higuchi, falter these dashes. We're game to game.
We'll see how this plays out in the final moments between Higuchi and Nauman. Man, these guys are swinging. And I love that from Higuchi. Not throwing as many sonic booms. He's willing to test out the waters with some of these normals now, and now throwing out a couple of sand blasters, peppering in some of the normals as well, but still just outside of range. Higuchi again being able to deter Nauman from moving forward for free.
It's the aggression we want to see from Higuchi. Oh, back heavy kick, the bless button. X, corner curve the chaser. Caught him pressing the button, EX, fireball, gets interrupted with the back medium V-Skill, and the V-Skill 2 once again. That's the stun. Without that ability to build up more, that V-Skill 1 right there, he has the V-Skill 2, means he can't do a ton of damage, but that's quite a bit of a grip. So that's the EX Bar 2 and the suppressors 2 as well, and the V-Trigger 1 to lock him down.
Oh, and the bravery, Nauman walking up throw, Higuchi being taken off guard. He even actually had to reel back in his seat for that one. He had a little bit of a slight chuckle. Higuchi now on the defensive end, or at least at the deficit. Nauman looking at match point, and I love that, the flexor size there from Higuchi, showing off some of the more complicated techniques we have from Guile. But I love it still. Tuned in, honed in on that focus. Standing medium kicks, and a couple of mediums to kind of pepper in behind it. Nauman. Yep, that's exactly it. Nauman being deterred from moving forward for free as the last round, but eventually he will get in. That low forward catches people more often than not.
Reversal immediately does not want to be put in the corner. And have to deal with that B skill 2 mix again. Anti-air right there. Nice and easy. Keeping it meaty. No EX to get that knockdown. I feel like Sweet would have reached out the distance, but just didn't believe. But he'll be just fine as it takes us to final round between the two. As James Shin would say, Higuchi and Nauman. I love that Nauman's getting aggressive, but I also like that Higuchi is willing to sit outside the mid to close range, back and forth with the fireballs too as well, and the back fist, predicating his buttons around it. But you have to be worried about that back heavy kick or any sort of interruptive button that crush that's into the corner, because that's where Nauman wants you.
Oh, I think we rarely have seen that forward fierce hit. I think it hits like 2 times over thus far in this set, but more often than not, we see a low forward connect from the side of Luke. No, sir, you can't jump out for free. Nauman makes you pay that toll every time with the crosscut DP, but now Higuchi, with more estate to his name, he gets to play a lot with the screen to pretty much dictate the pace.
That's what you want as Higuchi. Control. As a God Player wants control, much control as possible. Right now, he's controlling with the baby boomers. The parade of baby boomers coming through. Fist with the crush it, get the follow-up. That would have been super sick, but he'll seal it anyway with the CA and play Higuchi. Bringing it back.
That could have gone either way. That genuinely could have gone for either player. We've seen the offensive light shine in benefit towards Higuchi as the name precedes them. Saishunkan Soul Kumamoto taking the first W for this week's team battles.
一番のその普段の立ち回りの安定もさることながら、ここ一番の勝負
See what Higuchi's going to say about that. Like, I love the fact that he's so ready with these situations too as well. Like, you're going to be this offensive, you have to be ready for scramble situations. And if things kind of drop or are kind of just awkward ranges, you have to be prepared and ready. You see him keeping that bar for that right moment, just to make sure that right perfect moment to seal with the CA. But not to take anything away from how Nauman was playing. He was playing really aggressive. He was playing great with the buttons. And I like his game plan of, I will do whatever it takes to push you in the corner. Chaser, using the medium punch for the Oki and the throws and things like that, using EX bar off the EX knuckle. This will take you and push you to this corner where I can enact that B-skill pressure over and over again. But it just wasn't enough. The defensive from Higuchi, whether it be flash kick, whether it be just blocking it out, and the V reversals preemptively to stop that from even happening. Fantastic play from Higuchi, layering on his offense, his defense, and adding another win. That's 6 wins for Higuchi.
This man's on a hot streak, and again, I'm surprised to see him thrown out there as the first candidate for team battles, considering how powerful he's been thus far. Even last year, right? He's still been the player to watch. And taking a look at the stats again, the anti-airs very effective, 4 out of 6. The EXDPs finding the mark with EX flash kick. The throw department, however, he was a little susceptible to the suppressors, so I get it. He was taking some of those throws more often than not. On the other side, Nauman again, 100% in anti-airs. We saw that crosscut DP. No big attempts at some of the big moments off of EX Dragon Punch or invincible reversals. None of the throws were able to be teched. And I feel like that's definitely something that's remarked on by Aru and Nanai as they get into the further stats. But as it stands right now, 2-1 for Higuchi's favor, taking the first 10 points for Saishunkan Soul Kumamoto against Nauman. Up next is John Takeuchi and that Cody looking into it. I was actually kind of wondering what Nanai had said earlier for his analysis. I have to look it up again, but I wonder who they're going to be throwing up next for this matchup specifically.
If you look on paper, I feel like YT Mochi should be the one to go up next. Sim gets into Cody. You know, we've seen, obviously, Momochi have a game plan against the Sim players. In fact, actually have a game plan against YT Mochi himself. But on paper, that's a really good matchup for Sim. You know, you have the limbs to keep out this character, check before he can really start his game plan. Cody, obviously, if he gets going and flowing, it's hard for any character to stop him. But on paper, it's a difficult time for him. However, they said, forget all that. Tuto Urien coming up on the deck, the Urien players trying to get into the Cody players, seeing something in this matchup. And this is the most defensive Urien. So I'm wondering if that change up in how Tokido plays and being more defensive in terms of like the V-bar usage and V-shift and stuff like that may help him stay more solid against Cody. I'm curious to see how this matchup's going to operate. If they're saving Sim for the Rose.
You know, that might be a pretty big deal. I think in regards to what had been talked about in the pregame section, Nanai actually had predicted Shuto being the one to go up to bat against John Takeuchi. He had spelled out that this may be the big counter pick for John Takeuchi. But kind of going forward as we get ready for the match, I think in preparation for this match, we've kind of seen little shades of it between Momochi and Tokido. We had seen how this kind of how this had gone before, literally like what matches over. I think you have a very valid point. Also, putting YHC Mochi as like the counterpoint against John Takeuchi's Cody, I think that would be just as effective. But we'll see how this plays out, right? I think this is a whole different caliber of Urien. Even Tokido had talked about Shuto in a very positive light, saying that this is the optimal Urien. This is the way that I want to play Urien, and Shuto has it right now. John Takeuchi, however, is a different shade of Cody as well. We can kind of talk about how he could be a little bit more offensive. Momochi has kind of shown more of the counterplay style and kind of the footsie-based style. I think John Takeuchi has more of a more aggressive kind of like, not necessarily counterpoke style, but he's the one that kind of like throws out a couple of preemptive buttons to test whether or not you have the counterplays ready.
Like, you speak of that, like he loves standing medium kick. That not only like locks people down, but it builds up that EX bar continuously, which allows him to get the EX songs and things going and flowing. As well as we've seen him how he pressures people to the corner. He'll save that V bar just to use a knife. Nothing super meticulous, just to lock you down the neutral in the corner and then call out V reverses, things like that, or knife you down with like, plus frames and 5 confirms that leading to big boy damage. However, he does not really have the best record right now. He is 1-4. He beat Tokido's Urien in the anchor, but then lost to Fudo's Poison in the anchor, lost to Dogwar's Bison anchor, then lost to Inaba Bison, and then lost to Mago's Luke. So he's on a little bit of a downtrend, and I think that might be because, again, you win CPT, World Warrior, especially when the most stacked, if not the most stacked World Warrior events, and people start looking at you like, you're that guy. I have to beat you, especially when it comes to Front League. I have to be looking out for you and your Cody, and this character that has been, just running dominance in many of the scenes all around the world. So I think that's also a factor of people just studying John Takeuchi and saying, I have to be prepared for him. That's what happened with Fudo and John Takeuchi's run back from their World Warrior event, where Fudo took it in the Street Fighter League Japan event here. So I'm wondering if that might be the case. John Takeuchi might have to find something different with it. Shuto, however, did also win his World Warrior event. So, people are probably looking to him also to be a threat. He's 1-2 right now. Lost to Yamaguchi's Luke, lost to Inaba's Bison, but then won against Mago's Cammy, which I still feel is like probably not the best matchup for Urien. So for him to take that means that he's like, he's still there with that character. And talk about that defense, that V shift, that V reversal. He loves to spin that V bar, his defensive pokes, his tactics and things like that. And then the burst of aggression when need be is how he stays solid.
I've seen a lot of Shuto's streams. I think this is like he streams right in the moments where I become a true degenerate. Like I just can't sleep, so I'll just pop out at like 5 different streams at once. But Shuto has actually thrown down against a lot of these cats outside of the realm of rank. He'll throw in a lot of sets as well. He does a lot of the research, and he doesn't like dabble around other characters. I think one of the strongest things about Shuto is that he truly is a character loyalist. He truly is one to kind of grind things out with this character. And that's not to take away from John Takeuchi. Again, John Takeuchi had exercised Cody. We saw shades of it, or significant shades of it, in the previous season of Street Fighter League. Even outside of the league itself, like maybe in like a CPT atmosphere or any sort of majors, online majors that we've seen the Cody come out from John Takeuchi. So it's going to be very interesting to see how these two have developed their strategies against each other, both being the highlights of their World Warrior regions, or at least, in their tournaments for their region specifically. So we'll see how this plays out. I'm actually kind of curious even after this, because I think we have our next couple of days of battle, like on the 18th and the 21st of October, and then immediately after that, it's going to be their World Warrior, their third event. It's going to be so sick to see them go back and forth. But as it stands right now, this is going to be the predecessor for that big match in the World Warrior Project. It's going to be here in Street Fighter League Japan. Shuto with that Urien versus John Takeuchi and that Cody. Here comes game number 1.
Look at that study. You spoke about that study that he does on the stream. He said that Momochi and Tokido match, he's the same character they've used. He said himself and Momochi have been practicing this matchup together, so he is ready for the Cody. But again, John Takeuchi might be something different with it. Immediate gets the target combo and goes in the corner with the final fight, but he's out of there with the EX. We talk about that defense being used. Using that EX bar, got to that corner, and now puts John Takeuchi in the corner himself.
I love that, still within range, getting the proper punish against the sweep. John Takeuchi coming in hot. We saw the target combo being blocked successfully by Shuto, still being able to counter poke away. Crouching medium punch is the way to go. And now the trade-off now from John Takeuchi off of the lights. He still has a big burst moment coming in from V-Trigger. It's just a matter of how. Is it going to be via zonk? Is it going to be off of a clean hit? Is it going to be a punish? It's going to be a mixture of both, right? The standing light kick with the whip punish final fight combo, and that's going to be more than enough damage. Finding both opportunities, John Takeuchi, a very expensive round, but the round secured nonetheless.
That will make that bar back easily. I mean, this is a character that just harasses you with mediums over and over again. We've seen him utilize that medium kick. However, that standing medium kick from Urien also is a good button against the medium kick of John Takeuchi's Cody. So you might see that exemplified too as well. But now we're seeing the lows. Crouch medium kick, John Takeuchi forward, heavy kick in the V-skill knockdown. It's a V-bar built up. Now it's going to town. They say puts him in the corner. Yo, look at the range on that ruffian, and about to get that stun. Back throw should get it done. It's more than the bar at the bottom.
What is happening here? Like, John Takeuchi has been dismantling the defense of Shuto from game number 1. We see a couple of words from Shuto as he takes a big swig of his water. I think, there's got to be some moments where he's like, I gotta find this counter pick, or I gotta find this counter play, and I need to find it now, because John Takeuchi's offense is not the same in comparison to how Momochi wants to play. Like, we talked about that a little bit earlier, right? He had practiced against Momochi. We see the differences in play styles blatantly between those two players, between John and Momochi. We see that Shuto has not been fully prepared for the offensive pressure that John's been presenting.
You're exactly right when you say offensive pressure. I mean, we've seen a lot of the buttons activity right here from John Takeuchi. That medium kick, medium punch. He's so ready for the whip punch. You see him outside the range for the light kick if he does the forward medium punch, or the coral punch from Shuto. So Shuto trying to find a way to play. And then you're caught unawares with that medium kick ruffian right there. Now, don't let him get close. The hands on the man, the grip, the command grab does so much damage. EX, whip, V-shift, gets a punish. Not a big one, though.
Ooh. And the command grab, yeah, he had to go for it eventually. Well, he didn't have to, but it's nice that he did. The bad spray gets shoved back twice over. Bad spray number 1, no success. Bad spray number 2 made it even worse. Shuto getting the first round of game 2. Back into the pockets you go.
Answering back. He's going to delete the fireball right there in max range off the medium kick ruffian. Try to catch him coming in. There could have been something more, but John Takeuchi at least aware to find these punishes right there. Shooter utilizing more of the fireballs. Now gets a dash and throw with the mental stack. Too much on John Takeuchi's side. Careful of being zonked. Could be at any point. Shooter doesn't even care. He doesn't even care at all. He does only X-bar.
Couple of whiffs. And I love that. Yeah, John Takeuchi prepared for some of the frame traps that Shuto's presenting. Oh, interesting. There's going to be a lot of damage. Second mirror applied as well. No way. Okay. Not too bad. Oh!
Hold the drop.
What is happening? What is actually happening?
Vicious. How many times has John Takeuchi gone for a command grab and not gotten it? He's gotten one, it seems like, overall, but he has whipped so many of the command grabs over and over again, and that's how, in the previous round, how Shuto got his win. Getting too handsy, and I feel like he's too committed to getting these command grabs. Shuto is one of the most defensive Urians. We don't just mean that in terms of V-bar play is like V-reversal V-shift, but his mindset, how to utilize Urian. The mindset to shift and be like, okay, I need to stay outside this danger area, or how this character wants to play, how this person wants to play. How he stays solid is a work of art with this character, especially with the lacking defense of the EX headbutt.
I'm liking this right now. All tied up. One game apiece. Shuto getting a big counter hit conversion, pretty much stealing some of the momentum away from John Takeuchi, or so it seemed, right? Final fight combo, switch off into the corner. And that is a very, very deep coral kick right into the midsection. Gets the counter hit conversion. Shuto now emphasizing some of the fireball game a little bit. And again, coral kick finding the mark more often than not. That is punishable, by the way, if it's blocked successfully. But John Takeuchi has been running into this normal more often than I've seen thus far this season, really. Standing medium kick again is the answer so far from Shudo. Doing a great job of stopping John Takeuchi from getting his engine started this round.
It's not giving him a lot of space. The toe tap in this place. And I think that deals with medium kick. It seems like at that distance where medium kick, even if you're preemptive, will get hit. Now John Takeuchi having to spin some of the EX bar, even on block to push him in the corner, to catch him unawares. But there's that defense we talked about from Shudo. Walk, block. And then every so often, the EX straight tackle comes into play to get the knockdown too as well. You don't know when he's going to bust out. It'll be harder to read, but there's this way in play. And the Oki off the light ruffian. What a reaction from John Takeuchi. Oh no.
Trying to get a frame chop at the leg. Normal, actually. Crouching heavy punch from the side of Shuto, trying to check John Takeuchi. But yeah, and I love that decision. He doesn't want to utilize the mirror just yet. Doesn't even have it, so he's going to use V-reversal early against John Takeuchi. A lot of great life adding up from the side of John, too. That's a giant crouching medium kick to take all that extra damage. Man grab? Nope, not going to be it.
Oh. By the fat sand, no go. Interrupts off the crouch medium kick. Over and over again. You know, it's one good ES cherry tackle or a good jump in. Actually should be the win. Now it's definitely that's it. The EX cherry tackle had to make sure it was at the right amount with the crouch medium kick right before and the EX cherry tackle after that store. Good stuff for Shuto to have these bust out moments after being so defensive, making it hard to read his rhythm, what he wants to do. Shuto defeating John Takeuchi.
And I love the amount of activity that came towards the end from Shuto, right? Being slightly at the advantage, he kind of understood John Takeuchi's sense of urgency, right? We've talked about how offensive John can actually be, and he actually challenges more often than not a lot of these players, whether or not they have the counter poke play. Shuto had those answers, right? Crouching medium kick had spelled a lot of trouble for a lot of these players for the most part. But Shuto, again, utilizing that strategy at the very end. He's like, you know what? All right, I'm going to keep my active defense up as much as possible. You're going to run into a bunch of these normals, and just when you think it's safe for you to move forward, I'm going to bust out with an EX tackle. And that's been the deterrent for a lot of these players, is like, or not even just for Japan, but against the Urian matchup anyway, in any shape or form. It's like, man, when is this EX chariot tackle going to come out? And I think Shuto masking that option towards the very end was so effective, right? We haven't seen it that many times over in this particular set, and I think him busting it out in that moment was critical. Granting him an extra 10 points, 20 points from the side of Team Seoul Kumamoto. Super impressive, man. Let's take a look at these stats. Look, a bunch of donuts on the board from Shuto, but hey, he still got the W, you know?
He's still saying fine right there, you know, taking two of those throws, but no big deal. You can see the wake-up decision right there from John Takeuchi led to his demise in one of the rounds. Waking up with a super, I feel like that with the alternation of the bad sand, you know, just shows me that, you know, he was on the back for quite a bit on his back, continuously Shuto blowing up those options, just leaving a little stagger step in the middle of his normals just to wait for these options or wait for a button, whether it be super or whatever it may be, and staying continuously in that pressure sequence, like right after defense into offense, immediately switching that. Shuto he's just so good about like that defensive mindset, understanding what you want to do on defense, but not giving up too much in terms of momentum. And right now they have a lot of momentum on the side of Seoul as they are up 20 points, as you pointed out. At this point, I believe you throw up the sim. I think the sim gets into this character. I went to Aqua Stream, another Rose player, and I asked, yo, how does Fault do against Rose? And he said that it's about even or slightly in Rose's favor, but it's such a scrambling mess that, you know, it's not very fun to play for both sides. I think Sim can maybe do a better job of controlling the full screen and even mid-range kind of game against a character like Rose. Obviously, don't let her in, but you can't stock up for V-skill for free and things like that. Sides with the teleport, stop that. EX Fireball forces you to deal with that on the screen too as well. So I'd like to see the Sim. Either way, the Ace return will have more to play with his first of three anchor position.
Yeah, I think in regards to what the counterplay can be for the specific matchup, I think having maybe Dawson could be effective. Now that I'm thinking about it, I think if Furio is expecting this as well, there might be a shift in the V triggers presented. I don't think Trigger 2 might be the play. I think Trigger 2 might have to be the choice here to get himself out of the corner in certain situations. It really depends though. I think I think teleport would be a great job, or sorry, a great utility to use against someone like Dawson to force some of the guessing games, more so than like the frame traps. Because having frame traps is one thing, but somebody with like really solid defense, like how far do you really get with the V trigger too? So I'm really curious to see what the V set is between these two. Well, I feel like with Waichi's Mochi is going to be pretty standard, right? It's going to be like maybe like a 1-1. But for Rose, that's going to be the big question. What is Urio going to go with in regards to his V set?
I think he might be onto something. Having that teleport V trigger might be great because I've seen Urio utilize a lot of like an aggressive style of Rose, right? And that could help him on defense when he needs it, right? Okay, I'll put up in the corner. I have a way to not only get out of the corner, but also mix you in so many situations. It forces you to possibly spin that V bar that you'd rather have for a comeback. You'd rather have to build up my gray bar and things like that. So I kind of like that to kind of shore up some of the deficiencies of a game plan, or even of the character too as well. She doesn't really have a 3-frame to her name, a real DP. You can do EXO arrow, but that is not a real thing right there. That can be baited too as well. Punish. You know, I feel like we haven't got to see him really play his game yet. Like I feel like in the first 3 might let him shine. I feel like he was kind of getting into that momentum, into that locomotion during his match against Moke where he lost. But had he had more time, that may have been where he's able to play a little better. Now he'll get his chance. This might be his chance, but Waichi Mochi, though, we talk about how aggressive his comebacks are. We talk about how aggressive his buttons are, how aggressive of a sim player that he is. He's not looking for mix-ups and things like that. He's ready to brawl. Gonna take it between the two. Anchor match. Last match of the day. Possibly. But it is the last match of the day, actually.
Yeah, I was going to say, wait. Well, you know, we do have a 20-point ball game thus far, right? So you are right in that regard. We could get the tiebreaker. Are you trying to will something into existence there, Sinkhole? Is that what you're telling me?
Yes, I am. Yes, I want to see chaos. I want to see chaos. I want to see more games. But this one right here is going to be super sick, though. Don't get to typically see Sim versus Rose too often, do we?
We do not. Even in the States where I get to watch like two very, very effective Rose players, I rarely get to see it against Dalsim. And as it stands right now, you have the right call. I think you were right on the money. Mochi, YHC Mochi, and this Dalsim has been a very consistent counter thus far against Urio.
Frustrating. You know, look at that medium punch. We'd love to have a crush, but I like the range that Waichi Mochi stands at. You're not going to get too much off some of these hits, but you come in, I'm going to get my win in the knockdown position. Dash up, trying to challenge that dive. But again, Waichi Mochi in that distance where it's hard to challenge some of these buttons.
Oh, this is going to be so tough now, cooking him up. Oh, I believe not. No, he's just going in for the mix. Full critical art on deck, by the way, for YHC Mochi. And there it is. Yeah, V trigger 2. He's willing to take that throw. Back-to-back throws. Missile punishment. Another throw. And another one. 4 times, but 5 times in a row, I think. YHC Mochi forced to take all of them. Okay, so we talked about maybe the defense being highlighted earlier from YHC Mochi not being the case against Urio's mix-ups, against the frame traps. He's just willing to take those throws.
I mean, Orio's willing to take a lot of things right here. We see a lot of sweeps off the feet at a distance where even if he's getting punished, it's not going to do too much damage. And just his aggressive style, he's willing to bet it all on this style to fight someone like YHC Mochi. A fantastic lead right here. Sends out the EX to make him fall. Fireball, get it meaty, slide, right, applied. And the Bishop not chased down, but still looking for the activation. Is YHC Mochi. If he can land, it gets some damage on it. Yo, what a punch, a 2-piece. Caught him Tekken. One more hit. The Fireball will do it.
I might have given YHC Mochi the commentator's curse. It might have been the classic, right? We've seen how effective he was in the first round. Urio pretty much firing immediately back against the Hermit of Shimane. That has been extremely active from the side of Urio. There was so much that YHC Mochi had run into. I don't even know what it was exactly that Mochi was thinking in regards to like moving forward, but it wasn't working against Urio. That's for sure.
The trade-offs between the two players, you see that there's more damage on Urio's side continuously. Slide applied. YHC Mochi, I feel like you almost have to fight about mid-range. You'd like to stay outside that distance, but that's a sweep into, here we go, the throw. And she's got so much range off that throw. So much range that she can just continuously put the strike throw on. And we've seen also him get those crush counters too as well. By Shimochi trying to fight inward or piece the knockdown. In the corner you go.
And it's so wild. Yeah, man. Urio has been focusing on a lot of the defensive options that Wyatt Shimochi has been presenting, and even also like counterplay, maybe like going for slides. Like Urio has been prepared for that, for those moments more often than not. Soul Satellite does get pretty much punished right on activation, but we speak of the activation of V-Trigger 2 now. I love it from Wyatt Shimochi.
Crouching white kick.
Oh boy, is this gonna be enough?
The jab.
And
oh, right back
alive.
at him. Oh my gosh. Urio.
An extremely close match.
My God.
Extremely close.
I like the wherewithal to try to get that jab right there, but yo, Wyatt Shimochi, again, those violent comebacks. Willing to stay solid in situations where you lack so much health to play like that, you still have a ton of health. I don't know though. EX, the stun is rising. I get to play too often, but here's the back throw.
Oh, this is huge. Look at the amount of control Wyatt Shimochi has, but now getting him out of the corner, Urio finds himself still susceptible to a lot of this extra damage. Whose trigger's gonna come out first? Damn, double dash forward, got a single button press from Wyatt Shimochi. He was waiting, he was willing to take the throw again, by the way. And I love that, he saved his V-skill to Foxball.
Oh.
It was so smart.
Float stocks up with the V-skill, but you can't do that. The EXDP off the backboard. Oh, Globetrotters right here.
Urio fixing himself in his seat as soon as he gets the anti-air. And I love that. That's the back throw now. Wyatt Shimochi still stuck in this corner.
It's again.
Oh, that's gonna be a big punish. EX Soul Spiral, not finding the mark. Urio is stuck. Or at least I thought. Yeah, no movement here. Wyatt Shimochi with the active defense.
Urio looking for that activation. Where can he find it? Falls to the EX Fireball. Stocks up for the V-skill. Wyatt Shimochi can act a little bit more of that pressure, but these dashes are so deadly because you're worried about that V-trigger. That's what we see the V-reversal. EX Fireball, but it doesn't matter. The slide applied. Damage not denied. Ah, a little bit of a drop, but still. Urio can still make the comeback, but the sniper, the shooter's up on the roof. Wyatt Shimochi giving us another game.
We see a lot of aggression coming in from the side of Urio, right? Not taking into mind that Wyatt Shimochi has saved some of his V-reversal exactly for the moments where Urio wants to go in with V-trigger 2. I think that's been the biggest deterrent. Now it's a matter of whether or not Urio sticks to this specific V-trigger, knowing full well that Wyatt Shimochi has found the counterplay for it. No, he's going right back in. I want to know what he's going to do going forward to stop himself from being V-reversaled on as soon as he gets this trigger. That's going to be something to look out for if you're a viewer watching into the games right now. You got to make sure to see what the counterplay here is going to be for the V-trigger. But we'll see how we get to that moment in the first place. We see Urio catching the slide as a punish.
Fireball too as well. Okay, sweep off the feet. A little bit of a whip punish right there. Try to dash him in the explosion. No go. Fight again. But I wonder if it's just like get a better round start. So if you get this V-trigger, you actually get the kill instead of just getting that close range game or like one hit to do it, where Wyatt Shimochi has been able to survive, but he will not be able to survive a lot of this damage right here. This activation, this won't kill. We get close to doing so. And the corner carry. Careful to throw the tech though. Wyatt Shimochi still sliding in, cooking him. Far at the bottom for the super.
Oh, he thought he was within range to sweep. No, he could not stop the Soul Spark from that distance. I think that was a heavier Soul Spark as well, so the recovery was a little bit different. Urio, that's the one he was looking for. Wyatt Shimochi now in time to get the sweep to punish the Soul Spark, but still, and I love the whiff punish from Urio. The spacing trap has been so effective off of the Fireball game.
So right back to long range with that EX. Love these moments just bounced out. You know, it's so hard for Wyatt Shimochi to even read it, but counter hit, side switch, the tech, slide once again, get better distance with it, make sure it's plus. EX stocks up with the B skill. It's going to make that next Fireball harder to deal with. Activation though, V reversal. Immediately we talked about that V reversal, getting some distance and denying that V trigger. Again, no V trigger, apply.
I love this. The defensive options from YHC Mochi has been so effective against Urio's playstyle thus far. He's been so aggressive. We can see him still trying to swing away. Not a single whiff punish though ready for YHC Mochi just because he was already committed to the movement. Watch out now. One touch away. Trying to go for the Mr. Crimson. Nothing applied, but no, sir. The trade-off actually. The standing medium punch against the Soul Spark. Still within range. Still within time actually to get that trade-off. Very impressive. Oh, that's going to be a lot of damage incoming.
Fantastic round start right here. Being able to click, what, 1/4 of the health right there, if not more than that. The dash in, checks him. YHC Mochi said that this was the meter kick. Poking away, he's got to play this perfectly. Because once that V trigger gets going, you see he has to spin that EX or the V bar or the V reversal continuously and play at a range where he's not getting hit with these EX soul arrow moves. Counter hit, no knockdown, didn't have the bar to do so. Rio again, going for these sweeps, risky things, but finding reward and getting more and more damage, just building up.
And I love this, man. Urio has been way more reliant on the fireball this specific round, finding all the right ideas against YHC Mochi. Committing to a delayed button, we see it from YHC Mochi, and Urio popping off in his seat. Catching the button press, super significant, by the way. Being able to blow up that option. An option that is rarely exercised from YHC Mochi, by the way. 2-1 in benefit of Urio right now.
To make him go to that sort of defensive tactic right there, especially with a character like Sim, means that you are getting into man's. Urio doing a fantastic job of just mauling him, and it's the mental side. You're so, as soon as he's got EX bar, you're so worried about so many things. You're already worried about the sweep. You're already worried about him, getting a knockdown, things like that. TK fireballs doesn't do a lot of damage with that EX bar, threatening with the EX soul arrow to get the knockdown continuously. And he puts you in the strike throw pressure game with these throws and puts you in the corner where your defense is broken down over and over again. You don't want to have to spin that V bar for V reversal, V shift, and stuff like that. You'd like to spin on trigger to kind of wind them down and get that last hit after you cooking them up with the gray light. But Urio, his momentum, his aggression, don't let him feel himself. You see how he's playing right here. He is in his bag.
Yeah, Urio is pretty much an emotionally driven player, man. Once he feels it, he goes all the way with it. And like you could literally see it as he bounces back and forth within his seat in the player cam. I think that's one of the better production decisions, being able to see some of the players as they play. I love that, by the way. But going into it right now, again, Urio is up 2-1 against YHC Mochi, finding all the right answers and all the right changes in momentum, too. Like being able to go from a very offensive kind of movement based and throwing some of these normals into playing the whiff punish game and the spacing trap game, and then all the while changing it up into fireballs. It's been so effective. Now it's back to square one. Urio is forcing a lot of these mistakes against YHC Mochi. Look at the amount of damage it's coming in right now. Oh yeah, we've seen that before.
The instant overhead. Ooh, that was nasty. You see him popping off in the seat. There's a reason, because he's on set point against YHC Mochi. Explosive,
and it's
right
so
here
hard to
for
contest
detonation.
Especially with the soul punishment coming in from off the screen, still being able to take like the tail end of that to your advantage with the instant overhead mix is so powerful. Because even if that option is blocked, the punishment is still going to leave you plus enough on the way down.
I don't want to be knocked out by this character at all. EX fireball to make a fall. That sequence puts us right back to square one. Once again, V reversal blocks out, looking out for the defensive tactics and making waste that V bar with punish on the slide. Not a lot of damage denied. V reversal puts it right back in the corner. Offensive style, stay here for a while. It's bar at the bottom. Ooh. Might see base scout Agni. There it is. On damage.
Oh, you can punish that. Oh. Not too bad. Not too bad there from YHC Mochi. Running it up a little bit. A couple of lights peppered in to get ready for the snipe. Surviving that round. And here comes Urio. Firing right back. Full critical arc, by the way. Could lead to a lot of big block strings or a lot of frame traps, but now just stealing a lot of the space off of the crush counter sweep. It's going to be all Urio. He tried to set up for what? A punish? A soul punish, I mean?
Probably set up for that last hit to do it. He'll do it right here for the super to seal it. Either way, cleans it up, popping off in his seat. That's the end. The 3-1 to get it done for his team. Team Detonation. Destroying YHC Mochi.
And we'll take that. If you're Camouflage Detonation, you were taking those 25 points, or sorry, taking the minimum 20 points going into the sudden death battle. We haven't seen one of these in a very long time. I feel like we haven't seen this since like what? Week number 4? Right? That's a long time, man. That's a lot of team battles that have occurred since then. But Urio again, bringing it back to his roots, square one, as aggressive as possible. I don't think YC Mochi was prepared for that. I mean, like, clearly he was not prepared for that in regards to like how it went down for rounds 1 and round 3.
But beyond just like the character matchup, the style that he plays, the style, the aggression, understanding the risk and reward, weighing those properly. I'll say, I'm going to do these sweeps. If I get punished, it's A-okay, because if I get my knockdown, I can set up shop. And we saw that knockdown, set up shop stuff with the goofiest of mix-ups right there. The instant overhead and the soul explosion, things like that. Here we see also the anti-airs were super on point on both sides. Both sides had 100% on the anti-airs. But I'll tell you one thing, in terms of damage differential, Rose is going to be dumping out a lot more. You cannot be doing those floats and things like that and not teleport out for free. He's going to be ready. We saw that continuously. Both sides kind of holding throws. Teching, more often than not, looks like on the side of YC Mochi. However, let's get right into it. First to one. Who do you send up? I personally think, say, you put up Uriel. You put him up. He's hot right now. The way he plays, it's hard to understand that pace that he wants to play. It's risky in some cases, depending on the character, but I feel like you need another game to play him to be like, this is what you want to do. This is how you want to dance.
That's tough. Looking at, I'm thinking about like the home side. I think I'd want to put Higuchi though. Like I'd want to put Higuchi in the sudden death battle, but to face off for the away side, I might like. I don't know. I feel like Urio's playstyle would be pretty good. I think it might be. I think Itabashi might want the spotlight on this one. Oh, it's gonna be Urio again!
Itabashi. Let's go! Get a little biased, but I definitely want to see him come up with the first one because I feel like he's even more deadly up in that sort of thing. Itabashi was the one that won for his team for the first one previously when he fought Inaba after defeating Sora Kubo and being able to clutch out for his team. But having this aggressive player is going to be hard to stop. But I like your idea of having Higuchi, but it looks like it's going to be Shoot though. The defensive Urian coming through to try to seal it for a team to get those 5 points, 25 in total.
What's wild is that we actually had a pregame with Aru and Nanai. Nanai actually didn't consider Urio coming up to bat for a Camouflage Detonation, so we didn't really have any sort of predictions as to who they would send for the counterplay. But now we're seeing Urio step up to bat 2 times over, and we're still kind of at a loss for words in regards to who to send up against this man. YC Mochi was also your pick. We were thinking about Dawson, and I agreed. I would say, Dawson would have been like the right play. But as it stands right now, Urio has been the man to stuff that option 3 times over. So now we get to see how he plays off against somebody like Shuto, who has a very active defensive style. And we're going to see how this is going to play out. Urian versus Rose. I'm very excited to see it. My guess again would have been either Higuchi, probably Shuto, but I think Shuto more than effective in this matchup. I think he's going to be prepared for this regardless. I have seen him play against this character in like a handful of times in ranked, and he hasn't seemed to have any sort of problems with it. But that's a different realm, right? Being able to speak on fighting things off in ranked, at least he's comfortable with the matchup.
Right. That's the good thing is at least you're able to play some players. Maybe they're not at the top spot, but you're able to at least get a base to try to understand like how to fight the character. There's Aqua, as we mentioned before, who is probably I would say like the second best Rose out in Japan. There's other tapes you can study like Filipino Man and Flaquito over in the US side of things too as well. That's kind of the thing about being a pro player is that you have to take what you can get wherever you can get it. In terms of what they're saying, Rio says, I will do anything to win this. We saw that in the gameplay. He will do anything. We saw him do sweeps, round start EX moves and things like that. He will do anything to win this. And that's the mentality I think you should have for a first to one. Shuto has no words.
And Camouflage Detonation pretty much had the same sentiment you did, right? The away team decided on Urio just because they want to see him play again. And that's understandable. The way that he's played has been very much so a morale booster for the team, a very emotional based player and the way that he pops up in his seat. I'd want him to play again too. But as a stats guy, I'm looking at it. I'm like, Urio has not had a lot of chances to play. He didn't really get to perform as well as he wanted to. But this is going to be great, right? Going forward, I think you're looking at the longevity, or at least the long con of the season. You want to get your players acclimated under pressure as many times as possible. You want to make sure you get them ready for the season and are ready to play at least from the home side for their home fans. So very excited to see it. I want to see specifically how this matchup goes already with Shuto and Urio. It's going to go either way, I feel like. I think Shuto in a 1-1, Urio might have the advantage. He might.
Yeah, I think 1-1, he might have the advantage, but Shuto, we've seen him turn up like volume every so often. You have to do that like real quick instead of just waiting for like maybe a round to get the data. He's gonna have to do so quickly. So I hope he was watching that match, but I feel like even on a character sort of basis sort of thing, you have to be really on point with the defense. We mentioned the EX headbutt not being utilized by Urian anymore because it's no longer involved. And even though we keep bringing that up, it's very important because we've seen the mixes that Urio can put on. We've seen the mixes. You have to V-ship now. You have to V-break now. You have to do that in the right sort of way where he won't call those out. And it might be more difficult because you're lacking in terms of defensive options that you can utilize. No 3-frame, things like that. So it's going to be harder to challenge some of these strike throw mixes that she puts on. And again, Rose having a lot of throw pressure, or throw range means a lot of throw pressure overall. And you can't use those EX knees to come through in the clutch because that's an easy DP for the character, especially if there's an activation. In that V-trigger situation of the custom combos of Rose, whew, don't let that damage go. Don't let that damage go. Don't let it happen to you.
Yeah, both of these players, or both of these characters, can have very explosive V-triggers, right? I think Urian keeps you, or actually, both can leave you susceptible to like frame traps and can also lead to big damage if they land the proper knockdown or land the proper hit. But I think Urian's would last just a little bit longer, right? You have access to 2 mirrors and you can let it go whenever. Rose's V-trigger just pretty much winds down. Very, very short timer too. So it's very alpha-esque in regards to like the custom combos, right? That is the well, yeah, that is her super from alpha. So we'll see how it plays. Urio already striking pretty aggressively, catching a couple of normals from the side of Shuto, and now Shuto firing right back. Is like, I can play that game too.
Okay, so the EX gets the headbutt on him black. If you reversal immediately, Urio will get that corner. He's not outside the corner though just yet, but we'll find a whip punch and the knockdown. Pushing himself back to mid-screen with the fireball. It's hard for this character to deal with unless he's got that B skill, but he'll just go for the low. Activation. Mirror situation. A side switch. And now here we go. No V-bar to save you. No EX to save you. The triple crouch fierce.
Yeah, getting the big juggle in place. Urio does have a huge advantage, by the way, down below. Yeah, EX Soul Spiral to get past the Metallic Sphere. Very smart. Urio has so much meter to work with, and now he gets a little bit overzealous, trying to set up Soul Punishment. Plus frames as well. He was ready for it. Gets the back throw. Urio now off to a very solid start. Still, there's plenty of things that can go wrong within this round.
They're trying to jump in. Blocks it out, but holds the throw. The Batista bomb. Careful, if you leave out a fierce, that's an EX chair tackle. He's got the armor. Stops him from that custom combo situation and the corner carry. Chair tackle. Oh, you thought there was another mirror.
Anti-air's ready.
Buy one, get one free.
Oh, you thought you could do what now? You can't get past that with the violent knee drop. Back throw, not enough. And the overhead is the Coral Punch, or sorry, not the Coral Punch, the overhead from that far away. Shuto, both of these players looking at match point.
To save their team, as many points as possible, to walk away as the winners. Shuto trying to get in, EX addition, blocks it out though. Back with the jabs and the arrow applied. Oh, he thought he had to confirm, but the only thing is confirmed right now, Urio with the lead. He's got the bar at the bottom.
Oh, he went right into
Really?
it. Urio making the right call. Shuto trying to get a tick throw setup, and Urio trusting his gut on that one, making the proper read. and a ton of damage, but that just gives you access to a mirror. Is he gonna find a way to use it? No, sir. Udio with the movement, the big whiff punish to get 25 points. Camouflage Detonation are your winners to round out to start things off in week number 6, day 1. I gotta say, that was super impressive. All the right calls for Team Camouflage Detonation, playing off of all that momentum. Udio, again, a seasoned veteran in the realm of Street Fighter 5, in the realm of Street Fighter in general. This cat has been through the ringer decade after decade and really showing his prowess now and the way that he wants to play in Street Fighter 5. It's so refreshing to see. But Shuto, again, not for nothing though. Very, very close. Either way.
Yeah, I was about to take it, but it's just that aggression, that momentum that he's riding off of that anchor match. I feel like, again, that's why they set him up. He's ready, he's rocking in his seat. You can see him all, juiced up, powered up by his W against a sim. And then being able to win that first one, it just makes sense in the way that he plays, the aggression that he has. And when you're on your back, as you're holding this pressure, this damage and stuff. And not only just that, just the anti-airs. He was ready for the EX knee drop. We talked about that. The DP coming through too as well. So good stuff for Detonation to bring it back, to come back from the brink, utilizing the ace, truly the ace of the team.
Yeah, that shoots them up to 90 points. It's going to be pretty much tied up with where Saishun Console Kumamoto previously were at. I think they're tied with V6 plus FAV Gaming, if I'm not mistaken, especially with the way that things went earlier. That tiebreaker is determined on how they performed against each other in weeks prior, but if I'm not mistaken, they have not played against each other just yet, unless I'm tripping. Let me see. I'm looking at the stats right now. Okay, so they played in week number 1. So Camouflage Detonation does take the lead over V6 plus FAV Gaming. The previous champions, that's actually mad wild. So yeah, tied at 90 points. I think Detonation is now at 6th place. V6 plus FAV is going to be at 7th place. Saishun Console Kumamoto puts themselves up at 110 points, which is, I believe, 4th place, 5 points over Gyogun Gaming.
You really can't tell who's going to take it with these matches. With this, who's going to be placed up in these top spots. Good A Squad being the top spot. I guess it kind of makes sense. How dominant they were previous season, but they're not that far from the Royal Ojibari Star and the other teams as well. So, looking at these shifts, it makes sense with the meta, with the teams and things like that being even more even. Nowman though says he was prepped, but he didn't personally do too well. But seeing all the games that he'd like to win next, so he's fired up by the W's that was aimed by the ace return. Don Takuchi says league match prep time is long, so he's been prepping for just the league just in general, and maybe he wasn't able to showcase what he wanted today. But again, probably in the similar sense as Nauman, wanting to get these W's, wanting to get these wins, and seeing your other teammates succeed and get W's, it's like, oh, I can do that too. I can come through for the team. Like, we can still this. We're still in. We're above the winning team of last time. That must be a big morale support right there. And as Don Takuchi says, prep is very important.
We get a couple of the words from the captain as well. Irabashi has been very confident in his decision making in regards to what the team formation should be, in regards to like what happens in the away side. But I'm sure Irabashi has something fun to say as usual. Yep, yeah, I called it. That's a given. Irabashi always has something comparable to say. That's always on point. That's always on brand for him. And I like that. The Saishun Console Kumamoto match, he felt a bit blue, but Udio's Rose was so emotionally moving. He's been inspired. He's been kissed by a rose, so to speak, from Udio's performance. And you see Udio agreeing and like nodding his head as well. I'm sure he feels the love from his teammates as well, because Udio, again, not being able to shine as well as he'd like to in the previous week's performance, but this has been a very stellar one for him. I think he's finally starting to get his groove against the rest of these teams, and it's just in time for the halfway point, because this is, again, week number 6. We have 14 total weeks of grueling battles to determine who makes it into the playoffs, and more importantly, to face off as the champions of Street Fighter League Japan to go up against those of Street Fighter League EU, Street Fighter League US, So it's very important right now to think about the long con. And Udio, we see the camera spotlight was pretty much on him. Inubashi kind of finished it off with, this is what I wanted to see in regards to the Udio matchup. And the commentators, I believe, Aru and Nanai were talking about it. They gave him like a counter question. When using Udio's Rose, is this what you decided on as a team? And they had agreed. They said, yes, we are glad to have done so. Udio's Rose was the winning point, placing him at the anchor spot. So the commentators went back in and asked the question towards Udio. They were saying, today could be Udio Rose Day. We are officially announcing that in Japan. How are you feeling in regards to your matchup? So we are getting those words for us, prepped and ready for Udio. I'd imagine like he's feeling ecstatic for himself. A couple of funny things too. He might have a little bit of an attitude towards it, like in a positive way. You know, he's feeling himself too, as he should.
He actually says that he's been practicing a lot, so not sure the tactics against Sam. You don't know why, but he felt he wouldn't lose today. The way that he was playing definitely had that same sort of confidence, like, I'm not going to lose today. You know, I feel like if you're in any situation where you're playing against the top spot, the top competition out here in Japan, you have to have that thought process. Like, you're going to have to go in with that sort of, that air of ego or confidence, I want to say, more confidence than anything, to say, I will take that double. You cannot be second-guessing yourself. You cannot be weak or weak-willed or anything like that. And I like the pick of having Rose as an anchor position. We saw that with Kawano with the Lucia, right? Having these picks, these characters that are maybe not as typical as we typically see, or even these playstyles. I want to say his playstyle was so different than other Rose players. It's hard to prep for that, and that's that prep time that Inubashi's talking about, that this Team Tech Nation is talking about. Having this prep time to be so different with it, I feel like helped them get the victory today. I feel like it was a big part of that, but also that confidence, that willingness. You know, he said that was a gut feeling from today onward. He's like, I guess the team is saying from today onward, you'll be playing more. And he said, I don't think people would like to play against Rose. And the way that he is so frustrated with that, I wouldn't want to be up in that spot either. I wouldn't want to see him in a tournament or bracket or anything like that. I feel like people at home probably would see him in bracket and be like, oh man, this guy, yo, he's so aggressive. How do I fight this?
Yeah, I think Rose in general is going to be a tough matchup to even comprehend. I feel like there's not a lot of that. Not a lot of practice you would get outside of like maybe like there are a handful of players in Japan that do play this character, but at the same time it's like to a certain degree it's very difficult to find that caliber of practice, right? We've talked about Aqua. Aqua has been streaming the heck out of Rose for these last couple of weeks. I think he's gone back to streaming because of the fact that Rose is stronger this season, if I'm not mistaken. So I am following that channel as well. But yeah, Aqua and Udio ahead of the pack right now for Japan, at least out on the streaming forefront of everything. So really curious to see how that's going to play out later on from Udio. Seeing this amount of confidence, we hope to see him play even more so in the later half of the season. But as it stands right now, for the team, the final words, Udio's Rose did it for us today. Teamwork is the key for our team. We're going to see the stats a little bit short, a little bit between the two teams, between the two players. As it is right now, Shuto versus Udio in a very short-lived match. Again, it went down to the very last round, but it was a sudden death match, so it was only first to one. We see from the side of Udio pretty much on point in the anti-air department, getting 50%. EX DPs, we see the EX, or actually, yeah, I don't think it was an EX Soul Spiral. It was more so, I think it was like a critical art as an invincible DP or invincible reversal. That might have been the play. I'm not even too sure about that because EX Soul Spiral, I feel like was used against fireballs more often than not, so I'd have to look back at it. But either way, Udio is definitely the MVP for this match between the two titans, the Saishunkan So Komuro and Camouflage Detonation.
Even with the matches as they went on, you see that it wasn't just a complete wash. Also, even on the side of Team Detonation with their losses too as well. So even though he was the clutch factor, it doesn't seem like they're that far away. And let's get back to this play right here. Higuchi versus Nauman, that was the first match. And that aggressive style of Guile is so difficult to deal with. And Nauman just not able to keep up. He has some good moments right here as you see the activation off that medium kick. Seals it with the V trigger. But just trying to harass someone like Higuchi up in the corner is almost a recipe for disaster. Relied upon the V skill too was just not enough, as we see Higuchi able to switch things back and get all that real estate and that control. That's exactly what Guile wants in terms of matchups. Oh, what a back heavy kick crush, though. Fantastic button up from Nelman. The chaser, too, as well, puts him in the corner. And this corner pressure, like, this wasn't like it was lacking or anything like that. And again, that B-skill decision, that was a really strong thing, too, as well. But for Oguchi to stay solid in these sequences and also preemptively V-reversal and keep himself outside these sequences, too, as well, and still have bar for the activation, just shows you how strong he is. And able to route it back, look at that. Waits a little bit, gets a jab on the dash in that critical moment for the super. Critical art finish. That's critical for the team.
And move on to the next round after that, or the next game between John Takeuchi versus Shuto. There's a lot to be said in regards to John Takeuchi's offensiveness and the way that he wanted to play. We talked about this pretty much in the pregame discussion about how aggressive he can be, but Shuto, there's something to be said about the way he plays offensively. Yeah, look at that. Utilizing that V-shift, making the proper reads against John Takeuchi, and then preventing any sort of risks from happening. Back-to-back, by the way, the bad spray option from John Takeuchi 2 times over is what put him in the grave a little bit early. And again, a big decision to be made. Critical art not going to be flying too confidently with Shuto, and still, yeah, exercising his right to play defense even towards the end, making the right read with the backdash as well. But I gotta say, Shuto, look at this. We talked about that, measuring it out, crouching medium kick into the EX chariot tackle. So much defense from the side of Shuto.
Talking about measuring, we talked about the distance that Uriel loves to stand at sweep range, gets the knockdown, and then begins the oppression over and over again. That B trigger well utilized to keep that strike throw on. And look at that, the sweep forward slide, and the anti-air is applied, denying the drills too as well. And got the EXDP. You cannot fly around my city. I love the options presented and the aggression overall from this playstyle. You can look at this Rose and be like, I know this is the ace return right here. I know exactly who this is. Catches the throw bait, and that wasn't even the only time that happened. Trying to set up, get a little cheeky with it continuously, and he kind of dropped a few times, but not enough to make him take an L. And now we see the conversion into the super that sealed it, and then that moved on to our final first-to-one death situation. We saw him come back with that momentum. What do we see here, Vicious?
Well, for one, I'm actually surprised they didn't clip the instant overhead soul punishment off-screen mix-up. That was actually super sick. That's something that should be highlighted continuously because it's so hard to contest. But speaking of so hard to contest, look at this. Shuto actually tried to utilize something to get out of dodge against the V-trigger, but there's just so much pressure that comes out of it. And we've seen it go back and forth, and the overhead well spaced from Shuto, but in the final moments, Uriel making the right call. That was the reversal that we were looking for in the stats, right? It said reversal into critical art. You do get a little bit of invulnerability. Making the right read against Shuto, that's pretty much what spelled defeat for him off of that one instance, right? It could have gone either way, and again, maneuvering out of the EX violent knee drop. So smart from Uriel, choosing movement towards the end. I gotta say, very, very excited to see how Uriel performs in the later half of the season. But as it stands right now, ladies and gentlemen, Capcom Fighters detonation, 25 points to Saishunkan Seoul Kumamoto's 20. We're about to see the results and the standings currently and how these teams have been performing overall up until this point. Again, we still have another set of team battles that are going to be happening pretty much after the weekend, but that'll be pretty much the conclusion of week number 6, right? Week number 6, day 2 is going to be happening on Tuesday. But as it stands right now, this is what the stats are looking like. Look at that. Shinobi's gaming 80 points straight. Technically in 1 week. That is so phenomenal. Good 8 squad just within their sights now, within a 30-point ball game. Nagoya Oji Bodystar with 140, Saishunkan Seoul Kumamoto with 110, Kyogun 105, Detonation with 90. Then we saw the rest. I think it was V6 plus FAV Roto Z that were at the bottom, pretty much near the bottom, and then Team Ikuza at 55 points. But now we have our matches: Kyogun versus Good 8 squad. Team Ikuza with Hiroshima versus Nagoya Ojo Bodystar. Very excited to see that second one. And again, there's so much to look forward to, right, Senkola?
Absolutely. Make sure y'all lock in and tune into all these weeks, all these days of great Street Fighter V play as the league continues to progress. We're going to hit the halfway mark, I believe, in the next time that we meet. That means these players, these teams have to get as many points on the board to score, to stay up in the top spot so they can qualify for the finals and then be Street Fighter League Japan's team to go off to fight against the US and EU later on. But I guess I'm getting ahead of myself because we still have more to play.